that's all beef. You freezing up, that's y'all's team. Cause we don't really lose no more. All about heating up, leaving that cold. You can see beating up, killing that show. I ain't about giving up, no. Nah, cause they don't want it with me. Look, you gotta cry with me. Look, cause y'all don't want it with me. If you start a fire with me, then you never gonna stop me. Ay, sound the alarm. We about to go on. You getting it wrong. Time to go off. Can't hold us back. Truth hurts, you always that. My truth lurks till y'all collapse. Now scoop first where your homies at. Come my team with me right now. My team's on me right now. But what you mean y'all out? It's time to weed y'all out. Okay, we coming back with a vengeance. Time to go start your engines. What is this thing y'all mention? Time for y'all stop pretending, Nah, y'all can't do that. Where your crew at? Y'all can't do that. Nah, where your crew at? Nah, man, cause now you alone. Yeah, get out of my zone. Man, cause now you alone. Love, get out of my zone. Nah, cause they don't want it with me. Look, you gotta cry with me. Look, cause y'all don't want it with me. If you start a fire with me, then you're never gonna stop me. Nah, cause they don't want it with me. Look, you gotta cry with me. Look, cause y'all don't want it with me. If you start a fire with me, then you're never gonna stop me.
Welcome to the place where dreams come true, where everything you want can be yours, if and only if you're willing to work for them, you're willing to hurt for them, but most of all, you're willing to be first for them. Huh. Look, I'm going straight to the top. I don't know how I would stop, like it or not. I got some goals that I'm hitting. You hear what I'm spitting? It's hot. Look what I got. Whole lot of passion and pain. The road to success is insane. Stay out my lane, cause I'm on a mission. I'm getting what stands in my way. Yeah, I'm a beast. I wouldn't play with me, baby. The way that I'm training is crazy, and I do it daily. You wanna talk about drive? I got more drive than Mercedes. I've never been lazy. I'm in the room, it's a red alert. You wanna compete? Well, get better first. I got 10 toes in the dirt, push through the hurt just to show them my worth. I'm the best. Yeah, I'm the best. I never stress. I know what's next. I'm who they test, like we playing chess. But I'm unimpressed, so now let me flex. Yeah, I'ma work through the struggle and hurt, cause I know my worth, and I gotta be first. Yeah, I gotta be first. Look, I don't want anyone's sympathy. I understand what is meant for me. I give my focus and energy. If it's meant to be, then it's meant to be. But mentally, I'm undefeated. They hear that and say I'm conceited. Like there's no reason. Like I don't beat them and come back again just to teach them that when you work under pressure, you reach higher measures. They'll try and bring you down, but you cannot let them, and only get better and focus on cheddar. Eye on the prize and you'll become a legend. Like, when I'm in the room, it's a red alert. You wanna compete? Well, get better first. I got 10 toes in the dirt, push through the hurt just to show them my worth. I'm the best. Yeah, I'm the best. I never stress. I know what's next. I'm who they test, like we playing chess. But I'm unimpressed, so now let me flex. Yeah, I'ma work through the struggle and hurt, cause I know my worth, and I gotta be first. Yeah, I gotta be first. They don't know what's gotten into me, how'd I turn pain into energy. Through all the struggle and hurt, remember my worth, and that's why I gotta be first.
my shine with the glow. This is my time with it though. This is my time to be way at the top. Me and my guys gon' pay out the block. I don't look like wall. Time's right, and I know the sea is walking in the limelight. Promise you gon' wanna watch like a sci-fi. My guys are high rises, high tide. My crown if you come to my side. I pledge allegiance for lifetime. My squad connected like Wi-Fi. We grind and you see the highlights. This my life. It ain't a game now. Me and you, we ain't the same now. Lions coming out to play now. Opposition out the way now. Out of the way. You wasn't invited. Say you come to play. I dare you to try it. You don't wanna try me. Then step up to my team. Yeah, out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way. Game now, me and you, we ain't the same now. Lions coming out to play now. Opposition out the way now. Out of the way, you wasn't invited. Say you come to play, I dare you to try it. You don't wanna try me, then step up to my team. Yeah, out of the way, yeah, yeah. Out of the way, yeah, yeah. Out of the way. player on top, know it. Rooftop, penthouse suite. If you really want it, gotta own it. Fly through it, we was at the lowest. Blood, sweat, tears, the components. Riding all year, now's the moment. We are not friends, we are opponents. Yeah, I'm coming for mine. Yeah, I'm making a play, the game on the line. Yeah, I've been on the grind. Yeah, I jump in the spot, I made it my time. Yeah, look in the sky. Yeah, the stars align, no shade to shine. Can't stop it already, emotional, working devotion. We put in this time, look. You won't stop my stride. I'll just break your line. I don't tolerate wasted time. You take us down, keep fighting.
The Snapdragon Pro Series powered by Samsung Galaxy is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Galaxy Z Fold 4, Monster Energy, and Kachi Shop.
Good evening, survivors! This is the Snapdragon Pro Series Free Fire Challenge Group Stage Phase number 2. We are now on day 3. That means that there are 4 more days, 3 more next week to find out which 6 teams out of the 12 that we currently have will make it to the Challenge Group Finals. My name is Husky, and alongside me is Victor.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting day, isn't it? I mean, after having seen 2 days of performances right now, looks like trying to get into that top 6 is still going to be the goal for majority of these guys. But the guys in top 6, I think, are very, very secure just simply because of the amount of gaps they have built up in the championship points right now. So
Yeah.
I wonder who amongst those who are in that second page is going to be able to break through, because they're going to have a very, very hard time, actually, because just simply because of the gaps itself. But nevertheless, though, let's go ahead and let you guys know what are the stakes now for this competition here, because now that we already have 6 teams already on their way to Jakarta, we're going to be fighting for 7th to 18th place in total when it comes to the prize pool. Now that starts from 3,250 all the way down to 1,500, but then nevertheless, though, what they are aiming for is to get into that next 6 slots to Jakarta, because that's where the prize pool gets even bigger.
And if you're just wondering why aren't we focusing on 1st to 6th place, well, because that prize pool has already been claimed by our 6 teams who did qualify for Jakarta by the end of last week. So the 4 Thai Titans alongside SDS Alpine and Evo's Divine, they have all made it. So the only Thai team remaining now is King of Gamers Club, but they're not doing too bad, you know, hovering in 7th place, just barely behind one of our Thai Vietnam teams who is in 6th place. So the competition is going on, and it's going the way exactly how we wanted it to go, where there are more teams trying to compete for the top 6 instead of just having this very distinct hierarchy.
Yeah, so the thing is that, especially for those who are in that first page, the top 6 currently in this phase 2, they're just mostly going to try to gatekeep the other 6 teams from being able to get into their positions, and of that, King of Gamers certainly has a really good shot. Now, the big prize pool, this is why getting to that final slot to Jakarta is so coveted, is because even if you enter and you end up in 12th place, you already come home with $5,000. But nevertheless, if you do end up winning overall this entire challenge finals, you go home with $65,000, a huge jump in the prize pool, and certainly a number that a lot of these teams are coveting, especially for Free Fire. This is probably one of the biggest prize pools we're seeing for the Free Fire scene here in this region.
Absolutely. So you can technically finish 12th place in the group stage and still earn the most if you win the finals. It is a long stretch, but nothing is impossible. But all of these prize pools and qualifications are governed by the holy covenant of the point system. It's 12 points for each booyah, all the way down to 0 if you finish in 11th and 12th place. And each eliminations will get you a 1 point. And so far, we have seen teams that might not be really efficient in the placement departments, but they are really good at killing people, and that has kept them in the game.
Yeah, teams like King of Gamers certainly have used that to their advantage, given that they are from a region that is that highly covers those kill points, and certainly have been able to build a big lead because of that. Now, the point system has not changed between Phase 1 and Phase 2 of the group stage. What has changed, though, is the starting points, because, of course, Phase 1, everyone starts from 0, right? But then, you know, when it comes to Phase 2, we are carrying forward teams from that Phase 1, which means that overall, they will still have some points they will be having from Phase 1 itself. So what we have done with those points is that we have them for Phase number 2. This will allow some of the teams, especially at the back end, to actually have a much better chance of catching up, and they will have to do the catch up using the map pool that we have over here. So today, after having gone through Purgatory and Alpine twice, now it's going to be Bermuda and Kalahari that will be repeated on today's schedule. Purgatory and Alpine will still be in the pool, but only in the middle.
Yeah, so it's definitely kind of a big switch up compared to Phase 1, where teams only play 2 maps per day. But that's also because that we are switching in groups every 2 maps. But these teams, they are going to be playing with the same opponents until Kingdom comes. And that means that we have the liberty to put them on all the maps for our entertainment, and also to make it a bit more interesting. We will have to look at the overall standings just to keep you guys up to date and what has been, what is the state after yesterday. MDH makes it onto that first page. Team Flash, V-Gaming Esports, and Heavy also joins their Vietnamese compadre on that first page. But the Malaysian teams of Sem9 and Expand are still leading the pack, with Sem9 having a very solid lead and a very good cushion before they are even contested by the rest of the squad. King of Gamers Club slightly behind MDH, First Raiders Eclipse and DEWA United Esports in 8th and 9th, FARANG and Nexus in 10th and 11th, and Anxiety will be at the bottom.
Yeah, if you do look at this though, you can clearly see that King of Gamers Club is going to be the gatekeeper for those who are in the second page to bypass before they can get into that first page. But conversely, King of Gamers are only about 7 points away from MDH. So if they can play the cards right, they could possibly try to overtake this last Vietnamese squad here. Another thing to kind of note as well is that the final two Indonesian teams haven't quite made it to Jakarta. It's still kind of neck to neck with each other, only separated by 1 single point. And you know, in spite of the success of 2 Malaysian squads, we also had 2 Malaysian squads that are struggling throughout this second phase here. FARANG, Axis Esports, in spite of their best efforts, haven't really been able to make a splash so far in phase number 2, in spite of FARANG actually picking up a booyah. And anxiety, well, they're definitely going to be feeling the most anxious, unfortunately, out of the top these final 12, because they haven't really been able to be competitive even in that second page.
Yeah, I mean, FARANG got a booyah, but that was pretty much it. After that booyah, they went radio silence, and that's why they're still in 10th place. Interesting enough, I just noticed that only Team Flash and V Gaming Esports have no decimals in their total points.
Yep.
So I feel like this is going to maybe be a kind of affect the standings when we get to the tail end of phase number 2, where that 0.5 makes a difference. Would have been nice if they got the decimal, but again, we have the points that they got from phase 1 by half, and that's how we ended in the stage. But let's take a look at the teams that we have to keep our eyes on for the first 2 rounds. We have King of Gamers Club currently in 7th place with First Raiders Eclipse in that 10th to 11, and we also in the 8th and 9th, excuse me, and we also have MDH who squeezed into 6th place, just overtaking KOG by the end of yesterday. But their spot is not secure yet. Not like the other Vietnamese teams who have a cushion. MDH are just 7 points away from tying with King of Gamers Club. So this is gonna, go down to just 1 round.
Yeah, and the thing is that for these 3 squads, I think it's going to be a race to see who's going to be able to break into that 200 first, because MDH, they are close enough, but not quite there yet. They're still 1.5 points away from breaking 200 in total, whereas like King of Gamers Club, they are still about 9.5 points, and the First Raiders are still quite far off, being still about 35 points away from being able to make it. So I think out of those 3 there, First Raiders certainly has the harder kind of goal to meet during phase number 2, but given that they are part of the crowd that wants to be part of Jakarta, I think that's plenty of motivation for them really to try to push hard during these final phases, isn't it?
Yeah, you want to join your big brothers, Evo's Divine, SDS Alpine there, you gotta try and make the cut, the top 6 first. But all of this great storylines would not have been possible without our partners and friends over at Snapdragon Elite Gaming. When winning matters. Again, this is season 2, which means that they have been with us for more than half a year, and this family is just getting bigger and bigger, and we're really grateful to have them with us. They power our chips, and now they power this scene of Free Fire.
Indeed they do, and of course we would also like to thank our other sponsors as well, Galaxy Z Fold as well as Monster Energy. Monster Energy has been unleashing the beast together with us, throughout this SBS, and we're glad to still have them together with us in this journey for season 2, and as well as Kachi Shop, because they will provide plenty of good top-ups and plenty of great deals for you guys whenever you're thinking, or rather when your credits are low in your favorite mobile games. So now, coming to this first day, this first round of day number 3 here, are they kind of like things you kind of want to watch out for outside of those 3 squads that we've kind of mentioned earlier?
I think the first thing that comes to mind is definitely one of the squads. I think that's First Raiders, because yesterday they did had a couple of good rounds. They even got a booyah for themselves, but I think that push was kind of what landed them in the current spot that they are at right now. Just more promises to be shown. Hopefully they continue that today. But aside from that, I want to see Axis kind of step it up. I think Axis has really been kind of switching the members in and out. We see Flame play a couple of games. We saw Axac getting swapped in, but it felt like there was no difference being made, and I do wonder what is going to be the solution for Axis moving into the rest of phase 2.
I think it's like judging from their points alone, their placement points are at 51, whereas like their kill points are literally about half of that, 26. So that does indicate to me that Axis might be struggling a little bit in taking those team fights. They seem to be good enough to get those placement points. They are able to get into final circles quite consistently, but it seems like when it comes comes down to it, when it comes to actually fighting hand to hand, head to head with some of these more like skilled squads, they seem to lose out a lot more. So I think that's why they've been doing this, those roster swaps, I think, because Exact, we know that he is a really good killer, especially in this game, but even with that as a trump card, seems to have not really brought them the results that they're looking for.
Yeah, there's still some days for them to kind of rectify that. Hope that comes true very soon. But just want to remind you guys that our challenge finals is going to be happening in Jakarta. Ooh. And we have now officially announced the venue that it's going to be at. So take a screenshot, do whatever you want, just note it down. It's going to be on 4th and 5th of February 2023. So that's happening in less than 2 months. And speaking about Jakarta, I think there's one member on Access Esports that really wants to be in Jakarta because he comes from Indonesia, it's Raf. The only import that we have for any Malaysian teams, in fact. One and only, first and only, but so far, like the journey to be on home ground is still pretty far away. Thankfully, there's still 4 more days, but with how things are going, I feel like, that 4 days might be just a bit shorter than it seems. But we're going to head into Bermuda and see what Access has to offer to kind of kick things off. Maybe they could change a bit of the perspective that we have of them. Again, a slightly different roster coming in. This time, both Exact and Flame is going to be playing on this first round. Expand heading to Clock Tower as expected. A hard drop instantly from the get-go. VGM against Sem9, and unfortunately, Newbie decides to jump off the roof and break his ankles in the process. VGM getting that lead.
Well, luckily for them, we will be able to heal your leg up as soon as you finish off this fight, though. And it seems like VGM are actually finishing off members of Sem9 instead. So Sem9 is down to 3 people. Will they want to try to continue to commit to this fight, knowing that VGM has 1 man up? Newbie is still down on the ground, so it's really only Zen, OP, and Raja trying to hold things in the fort. Raja decides he's going to have enough of this on the graveyard. He's going to head out to greener pastures and abandon, unfortunately, Newbie. So VGM having full control over the graveyard now.
I am pleasantly surprised, and also, kind of a sigh of relief for Sem9 that they only lost 2 members with the start that they had. Anxiety on the other end up against MDH, and this team so far not having a good opening, as MDH have already lost 2 members to Anxiety. A good recovery. I think the changes that we have had just, at the start of Phase 2, with the bonfire being able to be stacked instead of you can stack 2-3 bonfires together, makes so much difference for sustainability in team fights. But unfortunately, we just saw KOG being the first team to get knocked out. Really, really unfortunate. Team Flash reaping that benefit, and Anxiety finding a 3rd kill, courtesy at the expense, in fact, of MDH.
I'll tell you what, though, this is going to be super good news for First Raiders Eclipse, because the 2 main gatekeepers, when we get into this top 6, not going to be playing in this round here.
MDH is still around, very, very crippled, but KOG, right? That's the one that First Raiders are looking at. Yeah,
certainly. But the thing is that, with both of them being behind, as long as First Raiders plays their cards right, and they're already inside the Bagmati Strip, which is quite smack dab near the middle of this next circle. So, like I said, this is an excellent opportunity for First Raiders to chip away at the lead that King of Gamers Club has, that MDH also has, and this is going to be their best shot to make a huge jump and actually put them in competition to get into that first page.
And it was very close between KOG and Team Flash, right? Team Flash, could have been anyone's game. It all came down to just 1 member, but Team Flash survived that. We saw that initial revive. 2 more members to be revived by Team Flash, and DEWA United, I wonder if they saw that last lone survival of MDH crossing by. Seems like that's not the case.
Yeah, Nero seems unlikely given how they're continuing to farm, and
they're just really survival mode.
He's being solid snake right now, swimming outside there, doing the wet work, making sure that he can keep the hopes of MDH alive for the rest of the round. But certainly his job is going to be quite hard, given that he is solo. And really, there was 1 revive point inside Cape Town, but that's been very solidly held by DEWA United. So his next stop is going to be Sentosa. That one is being held by Anxiety right now. So he's going to have to plan this, approach this very, very gingerly, or else if he gets caught out, that means MDH will be sent out in 11th place.
And that will be excellent news for teams on the 2nd page, right? The 2 big gatekeepers, like you pointed out. Unfortunately for Nero, both of the revival points closest to him are guarded by separate squad. Right? We saw DEWA United not only guarding that the spot at Cape Town, but they also have that high tier loot zone affecting them. So it's an area that they definitely will not give up. But on Sentosa, you also mentioned that it's guarded by anxiety. Nero doesn't really have much space to go, and with how he's moving right now, I think it's safe to assume that he's going to be playing with that blue zone and just make those late rotations.
Yeah, and speaking of rotations, right now, Flash has spread out a little bit, but just only to get the revive point up that will allow them to get back to full strength now. So hopefully we'll be able to see a lot more of them in the future circles. First Raiders United still having control over Bakhmati Strip. No one around actually to try to challenge them in this spot, which is quite wide open, has plenty of high ground to actually keep an eye out for where the next circle is going to land on. In the meantime, Farang still on the southern side. Looks like they're going to be making the move towards Kota Tua very soon, because that's where the airship's path is actually taking place. So maybe they want to try to look for some additional loot, given that they haven't been able to take on the high loot zone. Farang, in the meantime, you know, like we mentioned yesterday, you know, they seem to only be able to come to form when things kind of work out well for them in terms of all the ingredients they need in order to get the booyah. But in subsequent rounds, they haven't really been that consistent, though. Just inconsistent in that they're consistently at the bottom of the board since a lot of these rounds, and that's kind of really affected their progress in spite of having that booyah. So here's hoping that we'll be able to turn that around today. It is, after all, like a slightly fresh new scene for them to try to challenge themselves in, and hopefully to be able to get a much better result in day number 3.
Yeah, hopefully that is going to be the case, right? They had a good opener to yesterday, and you thought that it would be a confidence boost, but I guess we're looking at something of a skill gap between Farang and a lot of these squads. DEWA United runs into their first obstacle, and unfortunately it's none other than Heavy, a team that yesterday did rain a lot of pain on DEWA United, and you can see that the Indonesian team has no intentions of continuing this fight. They are just trying to stall Heavy, but knowing Heavy as a squad, they are not going to let this slide. Especially when DEWA was the one who fired the first shot. Virus goes down, and that's the green light. Fudai with a good nade right on the bullseye, getting the first point for the team. Heavy looking for more.
Yeah, Heavy right now just a little bit of a quandary, because for one thing, they want to be able to control the intersection, but DEWA conversely decided to take onto the high ground, and it's part of the evasive strategy, but it also could allow Heavy to turn around and fight. But we also have to watch out for Team Flash, though, who are on top of that hill, so DEWA might be running into a 3-way fight very soon. But Heavy looks like they're not going to be pursuing DEWA up there. Flash is going to try to hold position, while Axis, in the meantime, very much locked in battle right now with First Raiders on Bakhmati Strip, so they're trying to get the kills, and they do get the kills. Oh my goodness, Axis, they are still going to be able to revive back the 2 members, not having to look for a revive point, but that seems like First Raiders has just lost a chance now to chip away at the lead that King of Gamers MDH has.
Yeah, and to make matters worse, MDH is still in the game, so this is MDH's chance to extend the lead between them and KOG. I say that MDH is out, so the 3 teams that we wanted to look at apparently didn't get to play this game, so we're back to square one. You know, not much changes for the fight to get into 6th place, at least not for KOG or First Raiders.
To be fair though, DEWA is also kind of like First Raiders in that they are like about less than 40 points away from overtaking King of Gamers, so this could be DEWA's day if they can successfully take this fight against Flash, who right now are facing some trouble from the western side because VGM decided to drop in onto them. Bonfire being brought up by Bayo while they try to hold in front of the house here, but VGM still pushing up that hill. They've already taken position up top as Bayo gets taken down by a grenade from Bingsu. Vantan now trying to find a way, a good angle around these blue walls here to find other members of Flash. Shin is going to get chased by Bingsu while Boite keeps on the front here. Vantan gets onto the back end of where Flash is, keeping them surrounded. Good shot there to take down Yanbin. Good shot to take down Bloody as well. Flash is down to 1 person for Shin, who's attempting to peel away, but Bingsu keeps him locked in place.
Yeah, and this should be the end of Team Flash in this round. VGM, just a wonderful play, started off with a nade from Binsu. Team Flash actually were not fully prepared for that fight. One of their players, I believe Shin, was really far away on the flank, spotted out by a VGM when he was about to join the entire skirmish. So very unlucky for them. DEWA United trying to be cheeky on this bridge, get a couple of long-range shots, but unfortunately VGM were out of sight, so DEWA United can't get much done. Good news for them is that they're still in the game with 8 teams remaining. DEWA continuing the game of survival. In fact, they are getting pressured just by a bit by VGM on one side, but they have bigger problems though. Heavy, the team that they decided to poke earlier on, is right behind them, so they might have to deal with the pass that is catching up.
Yeah, the bridge, I mean, the good thing about the bridge is it does have a wall tall enough to prevent any like errant headshots, so they do have that going for them, but Heavy is going to be pushing onto the bridge itself, and Fudai has been sending throwables all the way, and that's already putting DEWA under a lot of pressure now to decide how they want to approach this fight here, because I think they will be at a slight disadvantage though. I'm not sure how many glue walls they have in total, but Iki only has 3, now he has only 2 left. Good toss there, but unfortunately Iki was still up in front. Renz unfortunately has been knocked down. It looks like he's been taken out. Iki gets taken out by a grenade now from Fudai, and things are really falling apart now for DEWA as Rain is the last person left standing.
I mean, Fudai is so good with the nades today, the golden arm of Heavy. And I don't think DEWA has much left. Rain, last man alive, Heavy, all 4 members rushing at them. Expand and FARANG also engaged in a battle, but it seems like FARANG is losing this one. We just have to keep an eye on that mini screen, but priority is on Heavy, trying to hunt down the remnants of DEWA United. That nade just a bit short. Heavy decides that it's more than enough. DEWA completely crippled and having to play the rest of the round in a very slow manner. FARANG was able to get away from Expand, only suffering 2 casualties. It's not too bad, but unfortunately for Rain, he just avoided Heavy, but Anxiety is right underneath this bridge.
Yeah, I think it's going to be spotted sooner rather than later though. And Anxiety now putting the Anxiety onto DEWA United here, because like if Rain gets taken out, that's the end of the run for them on this round here. So, you know, you said that the fight between FARANG and Expand was like good enough, but I think that having lost 2 people and not getting a single trade return, I think is kind of bad in the long run here, especially at this stage of the circles now. So FARANG is going to have a lot to kind of like do if they want to try to make it to that final circle now, as Anxiety still trying to move up this little cliffside, which I think is a little bit hard given the angle, rather the gradient of that specific hill. Buffalo spots out Vantan up atop here, so he's going to try to go for the long shot. Glue wall prevents him from getting a ticket, but eventually once that breaks, Vantan will be on the ground as Raph sneaks in behind here, making it this a really protracted battle here, complicated one here for VGM, because they thought they had the high ground, but then they got backdoored immediately here by 666 Raph, as he's now putting the hurt onto them and taking their loot.
Yeah, actually just showing up uninvited, and if it actually taking initiative. DEWA United out, Heavy still 4-man strong. VGM taking the brunt of this 3-way fight. Heavy getting a couple of kills. 7-9 also joins in. This is where the circle ends, Victor. I think we're going to have basically a massacre in this small compound. And Fudai, Heavy shooting both 7-9 and Axis from that low ground. They are just getting pelted left and right. Neptune gets a kill on the newbie. Heavy is just like, it's like shooting fish in a barrel at this point. They don't even need members up close and personal. Raja and Zen both go down. Newbie gets revived. Axis winning majority of that fight, while Heavy just providing, you know, unintentional assistance from afar. Anxiety finally showing up, Expand on the outskirts as well. Roy chips in, Tom XT gets his skull blown off. He is on the ground, not out just yet. Heavy, now they have a lot of problems to deal with from multiple angles.
And you can see Anxiety just kind of like trying to decide how they want to approach this. The thing is that Shomai tries to go for a flank on the left-hand side. Now it's going to be met by members of Expand, so they're not going to be able to third-party this anytime soon. But speaking of third parties here, Axis taking control very firmly of this warehouse inside Mill. So now it's just a matter of which other squad is going to try to meet them up here to fight. So we see Heavy already on the move. I think they're going to try to get up onto the high ground here, but that will probably also run into trouble with Anxiety and Expand if they wander out a little bit too far out to the edges of Bill. The next circle though lands on top of where Heavy is. So maybe they might just want to stick in the position though, because they seem to be having a good time just taking pot shots at everyone on the upper side of this warehouse. While Sem9 in the meantime, how are they going to try to get themselves involved in this fight? They only have 2 members kind of up at this point.
We don't see much urban warfare, at least at factory compounds. for this final circle. So this makes it very interesting, right? I don't think the teams themselves have ran into these kind of situations often. Expand decides to just take on anxiety first, get rid of whoever is on the outskirts, get those easy knockdowns. Sha getting that knock to Kanoho gets traded back by Hawkeye, while Axis, in the meantime, they're going for the rush of the Sam 9. There can only be one team in this factory, and it seems like Axis is that team. And when we talk about, Raph especially wants to be back on home ground in Jakarta, and they are making so much work. Getting it done, 11 kills still going, Farang out. And VGM next on the chopping block for Axis as they are going absolutely strong. Heavy on that low ground as well. Another three-way fight about to go off. Expand not yet in the party as they're busy dealing with anxiety. These few teams will have some time to kind of plan the next move and anxiety gets knocked out.
Ooh, and yeah, Anxiety completely taken out by Expand Squad. The only other squad with a 4-man stack aside from Axis here. So it's looking like two of them will have control over this circle here. Can just find a good position to take on these other two squads here. So Heavy and VGM right now. VGM having the worst off situation here, being only two members left. And now they hold up inside their wrap with a shot there. Takes down both Buffalo and Mill now. But Mill now is still up and running though. He's going to see whether or not he can try to run off here. But that's unfortunately going to keep Buffalo completely out on the lurch here. He gets taken out by BGM, and Rav is going to use the opportunity to try to take him on, but the glue wall comes out in time before they're going to be able to finish him off, so they'll force to peel back a little bit, regroup as well on the other side of this warehouse. Next circle is going to be coming soon, or rather, the next circle is literally the last one now. No more chances here. Rav, or rather, Axis is going to have to stand their ground and fight.
And look at Expand, they actually have all the kind of the perimeter covered. They might just sneak this away. There is a chance for Axis to Expand to do so. I say it and I realize that three of them are on the low ground.
Oh man.
Expand, they're just gonna die out in the open. Maybe Exile can make a difference. He somehow has snuck his way into the thick of things, getting that sneaky kill onto Vantan. And all Expand needs is just for Exile to stay alive, but they have bigger problems always. This boost, the Olofmeister boost in Free Fire. You love to see that from Axis. Raph getting another knockdown, Expand themselves, not too shabby. 9 eliminations thus far. Exile, the last lifeline for the team as his team members are just out there slowly drowning in the blue zone. Raph just swings the corner, gets another knock onto Axel. That's number 14 for Axis. Axel has nowhere to go. Fudai dropping low. Axis going straight for the jugular. It is Booyah season all day for Axis Esports. Heavy has nothing left in the tank. It's just Fudai left alone. They are just going to overwhelm him. Heavy out in third. And now Axis, they are looking for Expand. And they know where Expand are. They even True Utilities downhill. Can Expand outlast True Healing? This is going to go down to just who has more medkits. But Expand, they are the ones who start taking damage. Axis are going to get this for sure. A bit anticlimactic, but at the end of the day, Axis fought their way to the end. And Axis gets a well-deserved booyah.
Oh man, like I think Expand had the right idea by just taking control of perimeter while letting Axis like take the brunt of an attack. What they didn't expect was that the circle, or rather their positioning, just made it impossible for them to meet in the final circle because like, 3 people got caught outside. That was incredibly terrible there for the Axel from Expand because he had literally had to fight by himself without any support, not even throwables. So, well, I mean, it was a calculated sort of move there from Expand, to try to make it to that final circle. But, being involved in the fight means that Axis is probably the bigger winner here overall, though the fact that they are still kind of far back in that points system means that they still have a lot of ground to cover, but I think there's still a good chance for them to overtake Farang or maybe even DEWA.
Yeah, very unlucky for Expand, right? It's one of those rounds where you lose because you are just you misfortune. It's just unfortunate turn of events for Expand, but nonetheless, they still finished second. Axis with a very explosive start, and I also just noticed that Expand today is playing with a slightly different roster. Their substitute Sha is playing instead of Too Fast, so we'll see how that turns out. But after round 1, not too bad.
Not too bad. I mean, I love the final fight there because like I was expecting things to kind of heat up only by the 6th or 7th circle, but we already kind of got a taste of it by the 5th circle with everyone all gathered on the mill. There were 2 warehouses that were being controlled there, and Axis, they took the higher, they took the back door really to try to take on I think what team was that, Sam 9 and Flash. So they basically, once they took control of that spot, it pretty much became their round to lose from that point on, because they not only had the full squad, but other squads just outside the warehouse were busy trying to tackle the guys who were just outside. So this is a perfect storm of circumstances here that allowed Axis to just massively benefit off of this first round.
Yeah, it felt like an uncontested round for Axis, honestly. I mean,
kind of.
both Heavy and VGM were just busy trying to beat each other down, and Axis was like, okay, if you guys don't want to pay attention to us, we'll kill you all. 26 points after round number 1, with Expand coming in second with 18. You know, Heavy and V Gaming Esports, despite this very extended civil war, they still finished 3rd and 4th respectively. Anxiety coming in 5th. Team Flash finishing in 6th place.
Yeah, that's 12 elimination points. 14 elimination points Axis managed to get, which, you know, I was saying earlier on that, you know, there was the kill points that they kind of were lacking at this point, but now they're starting to find a way to they found a round essentially that allows them to farm a lot of kill points, so that's really going good for them. King of Gamers and MDH as well as First Ragers, wow, what an abysmal first round though for these squads, because they got eliminated so early on. DEWA United, I was kind of hoping they'll be able to take advantage of this situation here to get a leg up onto the other squads, but they only managed to get a single point ahead of King of Gamers by when all is said and done. So really, I think this battle for 6, 7, and 8 is still going to be ongoing for the rest of the day. So now it's just a matter of who out of these 4 are going to be taking the booyah today to really separate themselves from the pack.
Honestly, what are the odds, right? When we focus on the fight to get into top 6, and then the first round itself, all the 4 teams in contention did nothing.
Yeah.
Almost nothing.
Cass's curse right there, I have to tell you, man.
Maybe we can make it more interesting if we just say things like 7-9 is going to stay in first place. Or, you know something like that.
Using, well, wait. That's kind of like using your superpowers for evil now, isn't it?
Yeah, but you know, we can't have like top 6 before phase 2 ends. That's not how it's supposed to be. We need to have more competitors. You know, we have MDH against MDH against KOG, but we need more. You know, the more the merrier. Axis Esports, though, I'll highlight the team of the round. Definitely a bit of an anticlimactic ending. You know, it's not like Axis earned it. You know, it's not like they wiped out Expand. Expand could have won that one, but the Circle was the one who decided for Axis. Nonetheless, though, Axis needed it, and they got it.
Yep, and you know, well, it's all good for them really, and even for Expand, it's not even that big of a loss, to be fair, because they still earn a lot of placement points, and they still manage to get some kill points as a result. And just by virtue of being like the final 2 teams in that final circle means that, you know, they're still be able to solidify their second place position. So I think it's not that big of a loss, not that big of a deal, you know, when you look at the bigger picture. So in any case, right now it's still mostly going to be those guys who are in that second page that will be very competitive, I think, still going forward, because of the gaps between those guys in first page. You know, it's mostly 20 to 30 points. So even just taking a booyah is not necessarily a guarantee that you'll be able to overtake people in that first page. So you have to have a monster kind of like streak before you're going to be able to have that kind of conversation. Nevertheless, though, we'll continue this conversation after all the teams and us as well are taking a break. So after this round of messages, we'll be coming back with round number 2 of SBS Free Fire Day number 3. So check it out. We'll see you after this.
The Snapdragon Pro Series powered by Samsung Galaxy is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Galaxy Z Fold 4, Monster Energy, and Kachi Shop.
with me. You got a problem with me? Love, you don't want it with me. Man, you won't ever stop me. Who y'all really got a problem with? Who y'all really trying to solve them with? Who don't really like the sound of this? Who come with me getting down to this? You better step back, get your neck cracked, get laid down where you best step. Better check that with a fresh map, get lost now with no extract. Like, look, that's all me. Got my number, don't call me. We eating up, that's all beef. You freezing up, that's y'all's team. Cause we don't really lose no more. All about heating up, leaving that cold. You can see me heating up, killing that show. I ain't about giving up, no. Nah, cause they don't want it with me. Look, you got a problem with me. Look, cause y'all don't want it with me. If you start a fire with me, then you never gonna stop me. Ay, sound the alarm. We about to go on. You getting it wrong. Time to go off. Can't hold us back. Truth hurts, you always that. My truth lurks till y'all collapse. Now scoop first where your homies at. Come my team with me right now. My team's on me right now. But what you mean y'all out? It's time to weed y'all out. Okay, we coming back with a vengeance. Time to go start your engines. What is this thing y'all mention? Time for y'all stop pretending, Nah, y'all can't do that. Where your crew at? Y'all can't do that. Nah, where your crew at? Nah, man, cause now you alone. Yeah, get out of my zone. Man, cause now you alone. Love, get out of my zone. Nah, cause they don't want it with me. Love, you got a problem with me. Love, cause y'all don't want it with me. If you start a fire with me, then you're never gonna stop me. Nah, cause they don't want it with me. Love, you got a problem with me. Love, cause y'all don't want it with me. If you start a fire with me, then you're never gonna stop me.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Snapdragon Pro Series. My name is Victor Cax. Joining me here is Husky. We're here to bring you round number 2 now to continue a discussion about who is going to be the final 6 to get to Jakarta. So after having seen that first round, I mean, talk about Cass's curse, right? We were hyping
Yeah.
up these 4 teams there who were vying for that final slot to get to Jakarta, and all 4 teams kind of performed badly during this first round.
They ended up in top 4 from the bottom. nothing much can be said from that. It was just an unfortunate ending. By the end of round 1, Sem9, they still remain in first place. Expand catching up a bit, but there's still a gap in between. Heavy now in 3rd place, and they are just 10 points behind Expand. Team Flash and V Gaming Esports share the same points in 4th and 5th place. MDH still very safe in 6th. But no KOG, they are not too far behind. They are also a team that suffered. But the biggest jump was made by Axis Esports. After a great round, now they put themselves 30 points away from KOG and just 35 points away from MDH.
Yeah, overtaking DEWA, First Raiders, and FARANG in that process. So now they're going to be hard at favorites here. The 3 teams that are really vying for that final slot now. So it's going to be between MDH, King of Gamers, and Axis Esports from this point on. Unless DEWA, First Raiders, or FARANG even are able to pull a monster round and actually, overtake Axis Esports. So at that point, this is where everyone still stands. Of course, Expand still in 2nd place. Sem9 still top of the board right now, 284 points, which keeps them very securely in that first spot. So Expand, I'm just looking at it again. It just reminds me that the fact that they haven't even gotten a booyah, during this 2nd phase in total. So wonder if they do manage to finally make that push, that campaign to get that booyah, will that actually be enough to overtake Sem9, you think?
Maybe put themselves close to Sem9, but overtaking Sem9, they need not only need good rounds, they also need to make sure that Sem9 doesn't have good rounds. And so far, it's fair to say that most of the rounds that Sem9 has played, they have pretty good finish, right? Even on their bad rounds, it happens once in a blue moon. Not enough to send Sem9 down to the gutters or be overtaken by any team. And all of this, I think is just a very good indicator of where some of these teams stand right now. But we also got to thank our sponsor, Samsung Galaxy, for powering the entire Snapdragon Pro series alongside every one of our partners. But they are the latest addition to this big family of ours, and if you guys are interested in the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4, also do check that out, because I think that there's an endless potential that you can achieve with this product. I am very, very, interested to find out more. Thankfully, I know some friends who are big Samsung collectors, so I'm gonna get my hands on one.
So in any case, for you guys who think you can do a little bit of a better job than us casters here making predictions, why don't you let us know what your predictions are inside the Twitch chat, because the poll is now open. You can go ahead and vote for your favorite squads, favorite teams, or even favorite regions that are going to be performing well in phase number 2. So let us know in the Twitch chat right now, who do you think is going to be the one to win out this round here. So now coming back to round number 2 here, we're going to be going from Bermuda to Kalahari. This is one of the maps where teams like FARANG really had, in the past shown a lot of potential, but then now, with the scene having evolved a lot, the game itself having plenty of changes, including the grapple gun, making that kind of mechanics, I'm thinking that, it's time right now to say that the balance of power has very much shifted in favor of the more innovative teams now, hasn't it?
Yeah, and team fights, team skirmishes kind of last a bit longer because we do have bonfires, right? Previously, the bonfires, campfires, you can't really stack them, but now you can stack 2 to 3. That means that there's just more benefits to carrying that around. And we're seeing a lot of teams start to utilize it. And this only happened kind of in the phase 2. So I think teams that really adapt to it well will have a slight advantage. But FARANG just not even going to contest Refinery. They have been pressured couple of times when they dropped to their favorite spot, so they did decide to make a change. But on the other end, MDH, first team to run into at Foundation is going to be, I believe, First Raiders. And that's the team that wants to catch up, and MDH, they've already lost 2, about to be 3. Nuke holding on, not for a long. Virus finds him. No, don't cry, trying to get away, drops the time turner, blocks a couple of shots, but he knows that it is basically the end for MDH, and after all that effort to get into top 6, this is what they get in round number 2 of day 3.
I feel that sometimes just taking these hot drops, at the beginning of the round are just kind of a coin flip, really, because you're just leaving yourself to in the lap of the gods, really, to decide your fate. Because if you just drop and you don't find the good weaponry you need, or you don't get up to speed fast enough to start taking the battle, it just ends up becoming a losing streak there for your squad. And MDH had to find this out the hard way, though, because it just felt like they weren't that prepared, really, to face up a team as strong as DEWA in this kind of hot drop. So very unfortunate for them. They were really up until that point actually having a good chance of trying to make a campaign for the first page, but having back-to-back rounds where they just get themselves limited early on, this is not going to bode well to their momentum at all.
Yeah. And that also means we will have more potential teams contesting for the 6th place.
Fair enough.
Everything going exactly to plan. This is kind of the big evil plan.
Yeah, the mastermind
of everything.
The mastermind of SPS or something, pulling his strings, pulling his puppets in the direction he wants it to, right?
Don't worry, we don't have direct influence. We're just talking about it, but if it happens, then it happens. Fate has it.
In if you want to think conspiratorially, if the mastermind behind SPS is pulling the strings, we're the one just kind of giving you guys the news reports about it.
We don't even have the power to start the game, let alone pull the strings for this. FARANG and Anxiety in a bit of a scuffle, 2-back getting the initial kill onto Shomai. Anxiety very, very split up to get it hunted down one by one. Hawkeye getting a bit of a showtime today, so Anxiety also playing with a slightly different roster. Toby and Jaboy are not playing today. We get Hawkeye in the mix and basic as well, but at least, with this very split approach, they should be able to salvage one of their members in case things go wrong. And it seems like it's going to go very wrong. The Hawkeye is gone. Basic is also kind of caught up. I think Kanoho is the only one that's running away.
Yep, picking up some loot now, and Anxiety gets pushed off of Mammoth here. Kanoho is the only one left standing here, but watch out for Sem9 though. They're approaching Mammoth as well, and it looks like they want to try to maybe third-party this situation here. So I think sooner rather than later, they're going to have to watch to kind of turn tail and defend their position here on Mammoth. But for Kanoho, he's going to be playing the long game. Jembal and Spade, I think they're going to be spotting Sem9 very soon. Too bad Jezebel on the opposite side where the carcass is, so they're not necessarily going to be able to jump on this battle quickly enough. So Jembal's going to have to hold his O for quite a while as he spots out Zen OP going for the loot box. Oh, nice shot from Zen OP though, getting the headshot onto Jembal. So now Farah knows that they're being engaged upon. Zen OP goes straight for the loot box here using a glue wall to make sure he takes a shot. Oh, and Spade gets picked off as well by Zen OP, and Raja finishes him off. So this is already turning from bad to worse now for Farah, because not only weren't able to get trades, but now Sem9 are just approaching their position there. A red danger zone has just appeared to the northern side of Mammoth, and that's making any sort of exfil attempt going to be very hard here for Farang, because they're just literally going to have to turn away from where the safe zone is.
Just unlucky. A grappling gun makes a big difference. Farang didn't even expect Raja to be there that fast. But yeah, I mean, Farang able to revive the two fallen teammates, and now as a result of that, they are very split up. It's going to take them a while to kind of regroup again together. But for Sem9, they have taken so much control over this, I believe this southwestern side of the map. Mammoth in their control. They, to a certain extent, also has some ground over the sub. But now all of them are gathered at Mammoth. So that's going to see where Sem9 goes towards though with the circle. Very much including them in it. Yeah,
Refinery is getting a bit crowded here. Flash in the meantime are just north of where Refinery is. But just to mention about that specific area, DEWA was already trying to see if they can gatekeep Flash a little bit by sending some shots their way. So they certainly already spotted that squad on the northern side. Souza as well as the rest of First Raiders are already set up in Refinery itself, so it seems like they are really trying to make that campaign to get to that final circle. The thing is that with DEWA and King of Gamers surrounding them in both sides there, it's going to become a bit of a hot spot, especially if that next circle lands on top of Refinery. Then we know that's going to be the next field of battle here for these squads. But things are kind of slowing down to a crawl at the moment. Flash is not really budging yet until this first circle is already completed. You can already see the blue zone starting to cramp everyone, and even then, when you look at the map, you know, about a third of the whole map is just taken up by the canyons by this circle at the moment. So there's not really a lot of ground to cover. And look at that though, the next circle landing right on Refinery. So maybe First Raiders might be onto something here.
Honestly, I would love it if all of the games today has the final circle end up in like a very urban area. You know, we just have urban warfare as a theme. Day one, we had circles that literally go to the most obnoxious areas on every map. Day two was kind of almost the same, but we had urban warfare on our first round, and I wouldn't mind having one more at Refinery. I think that would be great to kind of see where these teams stand. But VGM, well, once more, guess who's the one challenging them? It's Heavy again. Seems like they want to settle the score from Bermuda, you know, without any intervention. You know, Axis kind of spoiled the 4 versus 4, but now they really get to see that skill gap. Now, who is better at Free Fire? And Heavy is just putting immense pressure. Those nades are flying through. No connections just yet. Tom XD with the third one. That one also bounces a bit wide. As Me now is going to push on forward. VGM on the run. Not really interested in fighting Heavy, but with all these constant bombardments, VGM might have to leave someone behind.
Well, the thing is that they're pulling back because that's where the revive point is. So even if they do lose someone during this process, they do have that as insurance, and they also even have a vehicle to use as well. So one person at least could become an insurance for the squad to just continue to take this fight right now. But in the meantime, Heavy is holding position. They realize that the beyond this point here is going to be quite wide open, which will open them up to an attack or counter attack actually from VGM. But at the moment, looks like it's going to be a bit of a siege here. As long as the Heavy can just maintain the position, they should be able to gatekeep VGM as they've taken down Bingsu now. So that's adding some pressure now for VGM to try to find a flank. As Vantan moves up forward here, tries to draw their fire away here, while Boite tries to make a break for the radio tower right now to get a good base of fire. Vantan is still trying to hold his own though. Boite now under fire here. He's going to try to flank around this glue wall, but Heavy unfortunately not able to break right through. Heavy in the meantime looks like they already caught up to what exactly VGM is up to, and they're trying to prevent this flank from being able to come to fruition, but the pressure is still mounting here. Heavy unfortunately loses. Tom XD Fudai does get a trade in the form of Boite, but now they're 3 versus 2 at the moment. VGM, Vantan still taking a lot of pressure here, has already half his health cut down, requiring himself to burn a lot of his glue walls, and Bill now tries to flank him, gets him just in time as Buffalo finish off Vant in the distance, and that allows Heavy to win out this fight against VGM.
Yeah, Buffalo has such sharp senses. This guy, he hunted down that one straggler from VGM who was trying to capture the revive point. The idea was there, it was great. Just buy enough time for me to capture the revival point, and if you guys go down, you get instantly revived. But Buffalo hunts him down and prevents VGM from having any chance in this game. And Heavy is just going to continue extending that lead. They are already in 3rd place. They are very close to catching up to Expand. And with that play, it just proves that Heavy are not only catching up, but they are also adapting really well to what the other teams are doing right now. Anxiety, on the other hand, Kanoho was able to bring his team back, his teammates back, but that means they would need so much more time, away from their safe zone to kind of gear up. Expand will be pressuring Farang and keeping them away from command posts.
So first Raiders is still going to have the golden spot right now with the next circle landing on Tower Refinery. So we are probably going to get what you are asking for, which is an urban warfare in that final circle. But now all the teams who are on the outskirts of this blue zone here are now starting to make their way inside. So we're already seeing some gatekeeping attempts here. Now that Heavy has already successfully gatekept VGM, they're going to be facing off against Expand. Managed to catch the first blood there onto Axel. So they're already putting Expand under pressure here in the command post.
Here they go, Buffalo. He's always the one that starts off the fight, and unfortunately for Expand, they will have to fight this 3v4. Actually, Axel might be rescued though, Roy. He needs some time to work with Fudai coming in from the flank. Buffalo gets the finisher. Xia was able to down Fudai, so there is still a chance, an opportunity for Expand to hold on to this. Roy able to bring Excel back to life, so there's still some numbers for Expand. You see the name bounce in. The pincer comes through. What? Roy cuts him now? What is this? It did get traded back as Tom XD was able to double up and kind of secure his teammate. And Buffalo, what a nasty shot on the Cobra. That should not be allowed in Free Fire, but it's Buffalo, and he does it again! This time on the Shah! Expand had no chance to begin with. Heavy might have just done it. Roy, I believe EXO is the only one that's left alive, and he should not be anywhere near Heavy at this point.
Yeah, you don't want to be anywhere near Heavy, especially when Buffalo has a sniper rifle, because he can catch you even when you least expect it. He was literally sniping the edges of the glue wall and somehow managed to get a shot through. Now Heavy just meets up on top of this tower here, trying to push Expands off, and look at the amount of glue walls that has been brought out here. And the Cobra is just having a hard time navigating through this, not less because of the satellite dish and the loot box as well, making it quite hard for him to maneuver. Finally, he jumps off of there, uses a grapple gun to try to peel away from this battle and get towards Refinery, but he gets caught out in the process though. Xia has been finished off. Mill now finishes off Cobra here. Expand is completely getting themselves decimated, even though they were attempting to gatekeep the Heavy. Heavy instead brute force their way through, and then now they have already done a number onto a Team Expand.
Yeah, they were able to keep Heavy away when Heavy went for the push, but Farang just had to ruin that moment, getting a snipe onto Xia. But again, EXO, last man alive, last man standing. A lot of work to do. Unfortunately, spotted out by the one and only Buffalo. I think Expand's time will be cut short. Heavy is the team that wants to overtake them for 2nd place, and it seems like that is going to come true very soon unless we get the intervention from Farang, which is happening. Axel somehow guns down Tom XD, but Buffalo, of course, lands the finishing blow. Heavy keeps on going, but now there are bigger problems because a secondary Malaysian team is going to take them on. It's going to be Farang. Buffalo hiding behind a glue wall, but his teammates are all dead.
Yeah, that's a problem here, and now Sem9 is getting to the mix as well. They see Axis trying to make a way towards the edge of the refinery. Too bad he's going to try to get himself up on top here, but now he's going to be under fire from First Raiders, who are already set up on top of the platforms. Meanwhile, Sem9 getting grenade launcher shots onto Flame 7, putting down almost with a sliver of health before he brings out the Time Turner. Now they're going to try to do their very best to knock out Axis Esports, while in the meantime Flash gets eliminated by DEWA United on the top side, and that's going to be an open invitation for King of Gamers to jump and become a third party in that fight. Now Raja is going to continue to find 66 Rav, gets him down with a shotgun. Dark Hole in the meantime getting shots on the King of Gamers here, while ZenOP finishes off the rest of Axis to put them out in 8th place.
Yeah, shot to death from underneath. Buffalo, he's still in this fight. Finally dispatched by Lozzy. First Raider still holding on to Refinery in a very, very strong manner. Osaka with a God nade to end the run for DEWA United. KOG, they want to repent, they want to redeem what was lost from round number 1, and they are doing really well in that department. Anxiety still around as FARANG continues to try and take out Sem9. We see Newbie on the ground. So far, that scuffle is not going to end anytime soon. FARANG have the high ground though. What is Sem9's approach? They have 8 kills in the bag. We need a grappling gun for Sem9 to make some sort of headway. ZenOP, he's trying to get the line of sight in, but FARANG, they are basically trapped between a rock and a hard place. You have First Raiders looking down at them, and they also need to worry about getting shot by underneath by Sem9. First Raiders having the best spot right now.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, they got here early on, so they allowed them to set up even onto the satellite dish. So that's given them full line of sight to a lot of teams that are trying to approach the refinery right now. So they're going to have to fight on the lower grounds here in order to try to force First Raiders to fight them on the ground. King of Gamers moving on the other side as well. So First Raiders have double time in terms of work here to prevent teams from taking control over the bottom of the platform. Seems that has actually come to fruition though, as Anxiety also gets himself onto the ground floor. So everyone's meeting up in the lobby, just inviting First Raiders to just jump down and just challenge them right now. But First Raiders conversely knows that as long as they hold the high ground here, they have all the advantage at the moment. FARANG in the meantime, Jembal trying his very best to keep the Sem9 gate kept from this next phase of the battle here, getting good trouble down to force Newbie to back off right now. Sem9 still struggling to try to find an opening, and with the blue wall already up against their backs, they're running out of options here, I think.
They're running out of time. The circle is going to close in completely. Is First Raider going to win this just with the blue zone like in round 1? I feel like this is going to be the narrative of the day. ZenOP finishing off too bad as First Raiders. They have spread the forces out thin, but like you said, Victor, it is working out. They're keeping all these teams at bay. And the best part of all, no teams have been able to get onto the actual platform of the refinery. They are all trapped right here. Sem9, they're trying. They boost over the wall. They run over Jembal. And this should be the end for FARANG, finishing in 5th place. First Raider still holding strong. They are dropping grenades like it's Christmas. Santa has come to town, but this Santa is deadly. As Econ was able to get a knock, and now Souza goes in, tries to go for the slam dunk, gets dunked on by Hawkeye instead from afar. Osaka gets intercepted. Raja, what a charge buster! A 2-for-1 exchange as Sem9, they actually wipe out KOG. Still in that top 3, Anxiety goes down. It's now First Raider and Sem9. But the center of the blue zone is actually on open ground. First Raiders, they gotta drop down right now. Darko, he is already on the ground. First Raiders, a 2 versus 3 scenario. Can they pull it off? Sem9, they're desperately waiting. First Raiders, they are just biding their time. The last moment before they make that leap of faith. It's Assassin's Creed style, baby. Without the haystack, it's all the way down into Sem9's territory.
Here we go!
He's gonna start healing. He just jumps down. He just decides to commit Sudoku, and now it's Lozzy left alive. Sem9 rushes him down. Lozzy can't do it. Sem9 have done it.
The grapple gun was all Sem9 needed to make the difference there, and now they've earned themselves yet another booyah to solidify their position on top of the board. But mammoth effort as well, gotta say, for First Raiders in Eclipse, because they have actually been able to control a lot of that fight by virtue of being one of the first teams on Refinery. So they set themselves up on that high ground. Just probably didn't expect that last circle to favor Sem9 a lot more though. So that kind of threw them from a loop, but you can already see the Sem9 had those grapple guns. You know, if it was on top of the platform, they would eventually have found their way up there anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that First Raiders had it And then you realize the center is actually literally the one area that they have to jump down. I mean, First Raiders, they finished second, but it was a round where they were playing really passive for most of it, so not much eliminations. I think Sam9 had more than 10 kills by the end of the round.
I think so
on
too,
top
yeah.
of the Booyah. So mammoth round for Sam9. Great effort from First Raiders, but sometimes in a game of Free Fire, you are rewarded if you make the first move. And you know, camping for the whole round didn't really work out in the way that First Raiders wanted it to.
Yeah, so I mean, the best laid plans of Mice and Men gone all awry, doesn't it? But I think it was still a solid plan for First Raiders, nevertheless, though, because they were, frankly, for the most of that last circle fight, they were on top of the platforms. No one was able to get close to them without getting shot at by some of the other squads on the ground floor. So, in all like seriousness, that was still a very solid plan there from First Raiders in terms of like just getting points alone. But still, credit where it's due as well for Team Heavy here, because they took on two very strong teams and actually gate-kept both of them, you know. So it's just that, yeah, this final circle, this is why these kind of urban like final circles are just so exciting, because you never know what to expect during these fights here. And I think we're also starting to see that teams are really seeing where the value of being able to do the boost is, because especially in that situation Sam9 was in with FARANG, if like Zen OP didn't get the boost, like I think they were already been caught out in that circle before they even get to that final circle. So brilliant job all around here for Sam9. Brilliant job as well for First Raiders, and DEWA United even getting themselves some good kill points as well to make it in third spot.
You know, I just love the fact that First Raiders Eclipse decided to offer one of their members as tribute. Didn't work out though. The thought was there, but you know, it was not meant to be. Sam9, like you pointed out earlier on, they're gonna keep that lead. 29 points. This is probably one of the, I think, the highest records of points that we got in a single round, at least for Phase 2. Expand kind of biting the dust really early on. That means that Heavy might have caught up to them, honestly, after this round. KOG, you know, overtaking MDH, it's suffice to say that they've done so for now, as MDH has another miserable round. But we're seeing some teams on the second page really stepping up. I love the fact that the two Indonesian squads got a decent round for themselves.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you know, given that this is literally going to be their home ground they're going to if they get through this phase, I mean, certainly that's going to be more than enough motivation for these two squads to do the absolute best, and they seem to have done it already here on Kalahari. But Sam9, 7,591 damage. Wow, that's a lot of damage they managed to do, and that's just off of like the total amount of kills they managed to pull off in this round alone. So that's certainly going to keep them very much on the lead. I think I wouldn't be surprised to see them already past 300 points by the time we see the overall standings. So that's just further adding to, you know, the credibility, I suppose, of Sam9 themselves. You know, they could have been part of the top 6 already. It's just unfortunate that they got into a bit of a stumbling block when it came to Phase 1, and now just making up for that lost ground.
I mean, this is a good time to kind of have that resurgence moment, right? In the off season for Free Fire. Sam9, they still consider quite fresh in Free Fire. This is just their year 1 per se, but it's good to, well, actually kind of like close to 2 years, but you know, it's good to see that they are making waves and they're recovering really well after a bit of a roster swap. Nonetheless, the first 2 rounds have been absolutely exciting. All of this though made possible by our friends and partners over at Snapdragon Elite Gaming, when winning matters. And I gotta say, I mean, just when you thought Free Fire cannot get any more interesting, it just one-ups you every single time. At this point, I am just really bummed out that Free Fire didn't get the Esports Mobile Game of the Year award for 3 years in a row.
Right.
That was taken away by Mario. I don't know how they got it, but I'm going to put that aside because Samsung Galaxy is our newest addition to this SPS family. We are thrilled and glad to have them alongside Monster Energy, allowing everyone to unleash the beast within them. And so check them out at www.monsterenergy.com/gaming. And of course, if you want the best gaming deals and want to top up in your game and you want to get those great ones, look no further than Kachi Shop. Check them out at www.kachishop.com. We're going to head for a quick break and we will come back and head to Purgatory for round number 3.
The Snapdragon Pro Series powered by Samsung Galaxy is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Galaxy Z Fold 4, Monster Energy, and Kachi Shop.
down to this. Who come with me getting down to this? You better step back, get your neck cracked, get laid down when you best step. Better check that with a fresh map, get lost now with no extract. Like look, that's all me. Got my number, don't call me. We eating up, that's all beef. You freezing up, that's y'all's team. Cause we don't really lose no more. All about heating up, leaving that cold. You can see me heating up, killing that show. I ain't about giving up, no. Nah, cause they don't want it with me. Look, you gotta cry with me.
We have hit the heavy stage of the Snapdragon Pro Series Challenge Group Phase 2, and I say heavy specifically because this is where they come online. Every time from round 3 onwards, Team Flash and Heavy are the teams to watch out for. My name is Husky alongside Victor. It's a good beginning for the Malaysian teams again. Axis to start it off, and then we have Sem9 getting a massive 29-point round. But can they keep it up? Because I think Vietnam is coming for some booyahs.
Oh yeah, they're coming in strong, really. I mean, that last round from Heavy was probably one of the best they've had. It's just that they weren't able to bring it all the way to the end, though. But that was enough to get them on par with Expand, though. 261.5 points for both Heavy and Expand right now, making them tied for second place at this point. Though Heavy will be taking second spot there, given that they're the newest one to get into that point slot. And MDH finding themselves actually pushed down into 7th place there, with King of Gamers actually breaking into the 200 points first compared to them. So King of Gamers now taking that 6th spot away from MDH. So now that's going to put this last Vietnamese squad under pressure.
Yeah, DEWA United Esports also inching ever so close to MDH right now. They are no longer governed by the 30-point gate. It's kind of down to 20 plus. First rated is Eclipse, also keeping it pretty close with DEWA United. Honestly, second page fight is becoming more and more intense, and I like it that way. But for Expand and Heavy, I think this is where if we ever have a tie, the booyahs, they do come into play. Heavy has 3 booyahs, Expand has none. But judging by the performance of these two teams, specifically, I think Heavy overall just had a more consistent run throughout Phase 2 up to this point. And it's kind of clear that Expand just could not handle them.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising as well, knowing how well Expand usually kind of performs during these kind of fights. But, you know, conversely, you can also make the case that Expand tends to go for more risky sort of like plays in general, given that they tend to prioritize over getting kills over getting placement points in a lot of these matches. So Axis Esports, DEWA United Esports, and Sem9 right now, the teams to be featured here. Axis, of course, had a massive climb up the second page there in order to get themselves ever so close to breaking into the first page. And Sem9, you know, having another brilliant round where it just goes to show it's not so much of how you start the fight off, it's really how you finish it off, though. In that last fight they managed to take against First Raiders, because they literally, we thought they would have the disadvantage, you know, having to kind of crawl up the cliff face, but who knew that last circle literally landed on top of them on the ground, forcing First Raiders to actually be the one to meet them in the open field.
Yeah, they say, you know what they say, booyah comes to those who wait. And Sem9, they definitely waited for the perfect moment to pounce. We have to also express our gratitude to one of our partners, Monster Energy, for allowing everyone behind the scenes to unleash the beast within them, from the players to us to the production team. Check them out at www.monsterenergy.com/gaming, because we're gonna head into game number 3 in just a bit. It's Purgatory coming up, the biggest map that we have in a competitive Free Fire. And we not only would just see Purgatory here, we would also see Purgatory when we get to Jakarta for the challenge finals. And if you have been wondering for ages where is the venue, is right there on your screen. It's Mao Taman Anggrek in Jakarta, so do not go anywhere else. Lock it down in your calendar, 4th and 5th February of 2023.
I just gotta say, I love the new banner graphic there. Making it so much more grand and so much more exciting, really, for all you Free Fire fans out there. So make sure you guys don't miss out this opportunity here. 4th to 5th of February 2023 is when the grand finals will be landing. It's where exactly all these teams teams are vying for those final 6 slots to get to this grand finals here. So the anticipation is just going to keep building and building. For this next couple of months.
Yeah, I'm super excited. We are 2 months away, less than 2 months away, in fact, until that happens. So get your flights booked. We are heading to Purgatory for match number 3. And our pilot these 2 days have been pretty nice, just dropping everyone evenly. Probably because the pilot on the first day got fired for deciding to, take those very edgy kind of path.
I mean, sometimes it gives you like new curveballs to throw at you, right? When it comes to these early phases of the rounds. Speaking of which, though, looks like Flash and Expand are going to be dropping onto each other here, onto what looks like the southern island here of Central. And it seems like they were able to hit the ground running, though, as they are able to position themselves in a way that prevents them from having to meet each other in open field. And given there's plenty of urban environments to play around with here, Flash is just trying to use this little lull in order to try to gain some information about where Expand is exactly moving towards. Shin now forced to duck into the house as he hears some footsteps just to the north of him there. Bloody in the meantime still on the outside, still trying to see if he can spot any members of Expand, while Expand in the meantime trying their very best to keep them gate-kept, keep Team Flash gate-kept from the nearest bridge, hoping that eventually they will have to meet them in battle.
Yeah, on top of that, I believe MDH also ran into First Raiders, DEWA United ran into VGM. So it seems like all the 3 Vietnamese teams have kind of got themselves in a hot drop situation. You begin his head taken off screen. And so far, Expand and Team Flash is more of just a symphony of footsteps around this compound, but I think none of them will want to let this go, especially when there's a revival point right on top of Central. Expand getting a couple of shots in, not enough to get a knockdown yet, but you can see that Flash are slowly but surely taking up more space.
And we see 666 Raph actually making his way across the bridge because Axis is set up at Mount Villa, which means that they potentially want to see who between these 2 squads who are currently fighting right now will be the ones that they will have to gatekeep going to the next circle. But that's if and only if that circle is biased westwards, though, because Mount Villa is not exactly in the center of that this current circle, is literally right on the edges as well. But Flash and Expand is continuing the siege here. It's going to be a bit of a long one, though, because of just from the safe zone landing on top of them means that there's no incentive really trying to move away from this position. We also have anxiety kind of spread out across the Fire Brigade as well as the Lumber Mill section as Expand finally find X-Roy. Flash now, we're currently seeing whether or not they'll be able to break out and find a flank against Expand here, but we got the Axel just running interference in the middle while 666 Rav tries to take some pot shots. Fortunately, he gets spotted out, so he's forced to bring out a glue wall here. May have to either wait for his teammates to rejoin him here to become a third party, or perhaps even think about peeling back, because Expand and Flash are just more or less tied up with each other. We got Bayo already keeping an eye on the bridge there, making sure that 666 Rav knows that he's been spotted.
Cobra, he's trying to sneak this capture on the revival point. It's going to take a while, though. Halfway through, can the rest of Expand, can Axel buy time? Roy is already out. Cobra needs a bit more, and it seems like he's doing a pretty decent job. Axis have decided to crash the party. Just a good swing from Shin gets the job done, and unfortunately enough, I think the revive has come true for Expand, so now they can afford to let Cobra go down in a blaze of glory. He's gonna get gunned down by Yanbin. Bio getting knocked by Axis. And thankfully Expand, they remain in the round. Can't say the same for the 2 Indonesian squads, though. Both DEWA United and First Raiders have been eliminated back-to-back.
I'll tell you what, MDH is having a monster of a fight just now, having taken out DEWA United after DEWA has just taken down First Raiders. So they're looking like they're having some good momentum at this point as Axis now joins the fray, trying to take down Flash while they're still weak. But Yanbin, he is not taking it sitting down, though. He's just going to be fighting to his last breath. And unfortunately, Flame 7 will be the one to finish him off. But Bloody has already peeled away from this battle, now trying to find a way to revive the rest of his teammates. But that's just outside of this next safe zone. The blue zone is closing in right about now, so it's going to be up to him, Bloody, at the moment to see whether or not he can continue to carry the flag for Team Flash.
Biggest winner, definitely Axis, as both Team Flash and Expand, they are bloody and bruised. The good news for Expand is that they were able to get the revive off. unlike contrary to Team Flash, who has no means to get those revive going at this point in time, Axis will just loot up the rest of Central before to consider the next course of action. With how the circle is right now, I think MDH is definitely in the best spot. But we've seen our past Purgatory maps, a lot of these circles just ended up on the southern side. See if that's going to be the case this round.
Yeah, Expan's Sia has already found a revive point, so he's slowly trying to bring back the rest of his teammates there. So Expand already hitting the ground, running here. FARANG in the meantime looting around that high tier loot zone that is just out of Marble Works, so that's going to allow them some breathing room at this point, because there's not really any other squads that's on this specific island here on the western side, so they have free reign to try to take control over this sector, while MDH seems to be on the move right now. VGM is starting to take some pot shots onto Anxiety, who is just trying to cross the river, which means that there's a possible gatekeep here, but Expand is also coming out to play as well, forcing VGM in a bit of a tight spot because they're peeling out of that battle here, and now just ran into the clutches of Expand, who are looking to try to get some kills. X-Roy gets run over by a motorcycle, gets taken down by the blue zone itself, as VGM continues to try to fight out into this open field here, trying to make sure that they don't get caught out too soon, because Vantan is very, very low, needs to get into the safe zone quickly, so he picks up the car, picks up the pace. Expand's Cobra has already run away deep into the safe zone, while the Axel is still on the outside.
Yeah, they split up, so hoping that VGM will only focus their attention onto one and letting the other escape. I mean, they just revive, and unfortunately, they drop into the vicinity where VGM are. Cobra, there's no way you're hiding like that.
You're not even an Achilles suit, or you thought you could just like sit silently and not be spotted like that. I mean, it's just so obvious, especially with your skin being so flashy. So I don't know what Cobra was kind of expecting in that instance there, but he thought that maybe the vision for VGM works by motion. So probably thought if I just sit completely still, I'll be completely ninja-like.
I mean, the fact that his name is Cobra makes it even more ironic, right? Because
Yep, it does actually.
He should understand the concept a bit more. But yeah, I mean, Axel, last man alive. There's a couple of medkits to work with, and thankfully, they're still running. Expand, they're still in the game. Anxiety on the other end, we get this very nice bird's eye view. Anxiety very much tucked in to their own little compound. MDH in front of them. It seems like Team Flash have already arrived into Brasilia as well. Actually, trying to go for the gatekeep. We might see a clash between the two Vietnamese squad. In fact, Team Flash, they have someone who is literally kind of scouting around. Not sure if they saw the Anxiety members though.
Not too sure, but then they certainly are trying to set up the sort of like spread to ensure that whichever team is going to be caught up between them is going to have a potential for a backdoor if Shin can just play his cards right. But if Shin actually starts firing first, that's going to put all the attention onto him in a 1v4, and that's not exactly what he would like, unfortunately. But then again, with the other members of Flash already at Brasilia, it's really only MDH had to keep an eye out, but MDH doesn't seem to be wanting to take the initiative really to push out the other squad that just arrived in their scene, so they're just mostly holding up, still trying to set up a siege, while Anxiety in the moment still playing around the outskirts here, not daring to move any further inwards until they know they are in the clear. But they do have a vehicle here. Hawkeye is going to go up the road here, and Flash is going to spot him out. Oh, just barely missed that one member of Flash though, and probably will allow the rest of his teammates to get through, and that's going to set them up from ambush. Yanbin then gets spotted. Basic, yeah, my goodness, Basic now gets under fire from Yanbin, but Yanbin fails to take him down quickly enough, so he's forced to get outside of the house. But Anxiety knows they're being hunted right now, as a blue wall buster is going to be brought out here to try to hopefully make things a little bit messy indoors, but then Yanbin has to fight outdoors though, as Hawkeye gets himself knocked down with that Max 7 and takes out Yanbin.
I mean, Team Flash is not able to do much in that situation. The same can be said for Expand. I mean, Roy revived his team and they fly underneath the radar of KOG. Some of these teams just did not get to play Free Fire this round. Anxiety, show my up close and personal, able to get a good knock. Bayo, next one to go. Team Flash losing 2 members. Back to the drawing board it is for Team Flash. They are still in the running, but I mean, with all these staggered kills, it's gonna take quite a while for them to be properly geared up.
Yeah, I think Expand is looking at like probably a third reset here as they have kind of spread out a little bit after having brought back their teammates. But then unfortunately one of them got caught out as King of Gamers and VGM were moving down from the northern side, and actually that's worked out well for VGM because now they are inside the next safe zone along with Sem9 and Heavy. In the meantime, Anxiety is going to have to run right through where Expanse is, and possibly even MDH might get into that fight there. King of Gamers currently on that eastern side, just huddled together, not going out to the fields because that literally is a wide open space there that Bingsu is going to be able to cover by himself. So we see Newbie attempting to try to spot Bingsu as he takes onto the motorcycle and peels back in order to try to regroup with the rest of his team, while King of Gamers have already made their way up to the eastern side of this circle now and trying to set up base camp right on the road. And now a three-way fight starting to form here as Axis runs right in the middle of Farang as well as MDH. So shots are being rung all around here. Farang is going to be playing the gatekeeper role here as Six's Rav does get in front, does get the knockdown in the moment there. Neptune finishing off Jembo, while Heavy in the meantime takes some shots as well onto Axis from a distance, and this is becoming a four-way battle here with everyone just not involved on the ground here, just shooting at them from a distance, and that's completely decimating the lineup here for Axis because they're nowhere to be found anymore.
Yeah, they are all having a party right there, and Heavy once more just uncontested. Nero, just good parkour skills, gets a knock on the too bad, able to duck back down behind cover, throws a couple of nades. See if he can secure that one on too bad, but he was able to not able to crawl away in time. Nero gets that one. Farang down to just Jesbu, and he knows that he is so vulnerable out in the open. Axis, they met that fate. It seems like Jesbu will follow suit really soon. MDH will be the first one to make that rotation. KOG on the other end, able to bring their members back up. VGM ends up going down. Still have Bun left alive, but a lot of these teams are mortally wounded.
Yeah, and Flash having the second reset means that they're not coming in with like the best possible equipment here. Jezebel is just spotted already by Nero, so he's going to try to gatekeep him through this blue zone right now. He knows that Jezebel is going to be under massive pressure given how painful the blue zone can be in this mid stage. Jezebel is going to run alongside through this wall though, so Nero's going to try to put his parkour skills to use, while Expand gets himself eliminated by Yambin on Flash's side as a gate kept them from going to this next circle.
Yeah, Expand didn't really get to play the game much. It was just reset after reset, so it's only a matter of time before they get knocked out. But Heavy, they look like they're in the best position right now. They have the numbers, they are all really healthy, decked out in their resources. They're tossing utilities over the wall, trying to see if they can get a couple of lucky ones onto MDH. And of course, the ENP is the one that's gonna take the brunt of it. Fudai, he is just so good with the throwable today. MDH decides to get away with launchpad, but unfortunately, Heavy has already set up shop. They have a sniping squad looking for MDH, and if MDH runs away, they run into Anxiety. So there's just a lose-lose situation for MDH, and meanwhile, Jesbu is running out of glue walls as well. Buffalo, of course, snipes him out. And MDH right now, they have to deal with Anxiety, and KOG, they are on the other side of the map. You have VGM pressuring them. This is going to be a very populated circle.
Yeah, Heavy trying to regroup, but then Flash is trying to cut them off before they get to this next safe zone. But the blue wall is now closing around them, and this is also putting pressure onto Sem9 to try to get into the zone because they're seeing both King of Gamers as well as Anxiety trying to find the center there, and MDH now trying to storm the cabin that Anxiety is on and kind of force them out a little bit as Nero is trying to hold the door against Team Anxiety. Takes out Basic though, so looks like Anxiety is going to be hurting a lot more as Stroma is the last person still standing. Now VGM jumps into the fray as well as the next circle literally lands on top of MDH as well as Anxiety. So now they're looking to try to gain control of this last urban, like this last shack that's in the middle of this next safe zone.
KOG knocked out in the process by Sem9. MDH, Don't Cry, and Nero working hand in hand to keep each other alive, and they're doing a pretty decent job so far. Newbie finally blows Nero out with the nade. Anxiety goes out, MDH to follow. Sem9 4-man strong, and now this is kind of the ultimate showdown. Sem9 against Heavy. Can Sem9 stop Heavy? Because so far this is one of the most aggressive Vietnamese team that we have in this tournament, and Heavy They continue to push on forward. You can see Bloody from Team Flash. I believe he has been spotted out as well. Heavy is still holding, having a good foothold. Buffalo, another good shot to take out Team Flash. Sem9 getting pelted by throwables. And look at Sem9, they're actually surrounded from every single angle. Raja, he's trying to buy as much time as possible. Zenop down, right in the front lines, down and dirty. Heavy with Tom XT on top of the roof, able to keep Sem9 in check. VGM having their one survivor sneaking from behind. Fudai gets the first one onto Fikri. The glue wall melter is going to start melting the defenses of Sem9. Boite, can he spoil this one? Buffalo is trying to hold Boite back. Sem9, Fikri goes down. V Gaming is already out. A 4 versus 4 for the final circle.
Yep, and the thing is that Heavy has the advantage here with Tom XC continuing to provide fire support from on top of the roof here, making it hard for Sem9 to make a close approach. Bonfire has been brought out as the rest of Heavy now try to meet them out in open ground to try to flush them out, or even try to set up a flank, but Fudai is going to be taking a bit of damage there with Raja and Zen-OP already taking position close to the barn side. Fudai now is going to be under fire here. Can he continue to try to hold himself out inside the fences there? Looks like he's going to be under a lot of problems here. We cannot get this member of Sem9 away from the fences here. He's wrapping around there, tries to go head-to-head, but unfortunately gets knocked down. Heavy in the meantime, Tom XT not able to support him. Fasten down, the glue walls get broken down, and he's now down on the ground.
What?
Buffalo able to get a shot just from behind. Can he finally pull in a good shot there? No, Newbie finishes him off along with Raja with the Charge Master, and Sem9 takes their second booyah in a row today.
Yeah, Sem9 on an absolute tear. Entirely of Phase 2. It started Phase 2 in first place, and so far they are still in first place. I mean, Tommy is going to be really happy about this. I mean, he has been posting a lot on social media, and Sem9's achieving those booyahs, and that celebration can last just for another round. I thought Heavy had that advantage, right? It was kind of a 4 versus 3 opening, but Heavy just were not able to execute that push well. Sem9 just holding their ground, just ironclad anchoring, getting a second booyah. This is their 4th in Phase 2.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, Sem9, just by virtue of just taking these booyahs away, just gives less and less chances for the teams that are in the second page to actually catch up. But then in this case, though, for Team Heavy, like you said, I also thought they were going to have the advantage given they managed to take control of the shack. But what they probably didn't anticipate was Sem9's rapid repositioning, you know, going for that flank where Fudai was, and Fudai really wasn't able to fight them because he was stuck behind the fence. And that actually opened up a huge weakness in Heavy's kind of like lineup going into that fight, because that meant that Sem9 was able to find an opening in order to try to flank them. But for the rest of the fights here, I mean, Anxiety were literally the first ones to get onto that shack to begin with, but then they mostly tried to avoid fights with other big teams who were mostly tied up here, especially on this wall. This was a very interesting kind of fight, really, because the wall was so tall that it's very hard to actually get on top. Nero somehow managed to find a way, and that allowed him to get the jump onto Too Bad, though he wasn't able to stay on there for too long. That kind of hampered Farang's kind of progress towards this next zone, so that worked out well for MDH. What they didn't anticipate is that by the time they got to this next circle, Anxiety was already set up. They completely wiped out. Then Heavy took this kind of positioning here, and I can also see why taking that flank was so advantageous for Sem9, because there was one silo right over there that completely blocked Tom XT's field of view, so he didn't allow him to support Fudai in that fight.
And on top of that, you know, the last member from VGM just trying to really run interference, right? Heavy's attention was kind of split. They got to deal with that one annoying guy from VGM and the rest of Sem9. At the end of the day, Sem9, another booyah in the bag. At this point, they are just counting booyahs. 22 points, not the massive 29 that we got, but honestly, this is kind of your average good game for Sem9. Heavy not too far behind though, and the only difference is just Sem9 has the booyah. I mean,
yeah, pretty much.
Heavy could have gotten 22. MDH, Team Flash, and V Gaming Esports all get 13 apiece. KOG with 9 points. Anxiety getting 9. Axis with 6. Both Indonesian teams getting 3 apiece. Expand and Farang also getting 3 points each.
I'll tell you what as well, like, in spite of the fact they didn't make a splash in that final fight, MDH actually did very well in this round, so perhaps we will be able to see them be able to use this momentum to climb up the board and hopefully get themselves back into that first page. But, you know, with King of Gamers still also getting 9 points as well, it's still going to be a bit of a tough one here for MDH, but nevertheless, you're starting to see them kind of rise to the occasion here. I mean, they took a couple of really big fights, and actually won it out this round here. So hopefully, maybe the next time Purgatory comes around there, maybe they might be able to get something a little bit better. But nevertheless, though, next map is going to be Alpine, so we'll see whether or not MDH will be able to keep this up.
MDH, at least you kind of know that they're still in the race. And
Yeah.
after such a slow start for them. So the contest between them and KLG keeps on going, but for the rest of the teams who wants to catch up, unfortunately, judging by the result of this round, it's going to take a while more for them to pose any challenge. But Heavy, we talked about Heavy being the team that is going to come online from round 3 onwards.
Yep.
No booyah, no problem. They still put up an amazing fight.
And you know, 16 of those headshots, I wonder how many of that was done by Buffalo himself, though, because that guy is a literal sharpshooter, even at close range. And really, like, he's been the one making the difference for Heavy when it comes to these like close-up fights, because he's the one kind of in the back line, providing that fire support and actually able to hit the shots very consistently. So that kind of put a lot of these fights, especially in open ground like Purgatory, very much into Heavy's favor here. So I wonder if that same kind of pattern can also happen for them going into Alpine. Now, granted, it's not as big compared to Purgatory, has a lot more urban elements to it. So we'll see whether or not Heavy will be able to keep this up.
Yeah, I just want to say Buffalo is so confident in his ability to shoot that he's, I think, the only guy I see in competitive Free Fire so far that runs the double revolver. No one does that. People run AC-80, you know, shotgun. He runs double revolver and he lands headshot from 10 miles away. So Buffalo still going, still kicking. We're gonna take a short break and we will be back for Alpine for round number 4.
The Snapdragon Pro Series powered by Samsung Galaxy is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Galaxy Z Fold 4, Monster Energy, and Kachi Shop.
Look at my shine with the glow. This is my time with it though. This is my time to be way at the top. Me and my guys gon' pay out the block. I don't look like boss. Time's right, and I know they see us walking in the limelight. Promise you gon' wanna watch like a sci-fi. My guys are high risers, high tide. My crown if you come to my side. I pledge allegiance for lifetime. My squad connected like Wi-Fi. We grind and you see the highlights. This my life. It ain't a game now. Me and you, we ain't the same now. Lions coming out to play now. Opposition out the way now. Out of the way. You wasn't invited. Say you come to play. I dare you to try it. You don't wanna try me. Then step up to my team. Yeah, out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way. Game now, me and you, we ain't the same now. Lions coming out to play now. Opposition out the way now. Out of the way, you wasn't invited. Say you come to play, I dare you to try it. You don't wanna try me, then step up to my team. Yeah, out of the way, yeah, yeah. Out of the way, yeah, yeah. Out of the way.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Snapdragon Pro Series, where we've already run through 3 rounds already on day number 3. So right now, we're literally at the midway point. My name is Victor Cax. Joining me here is Husky, as we are waiting with the bated breath right now to see where the overall standings are. Because with Sam9 having taken 2 back-to-back booyahs, that's certainly going to suppress a lot of the momentum from the other squads here. So I'm very curious to see how things turn out. As we have a look at the standings now, it looks like MDH not able to overtake King of Gamers, though. They're still 3 points behind. Sam9 now having 335 points. That's just solid lead now that they have ahead of Team Heavy, who only managed to net 280.5 points. Expand is still struggling to try to find a good round for themselves. Got themselves completely reset twice in a row in that last round, so that completely hampered the progress here. Team Flash and V Gaming Esports are still hanging strong there in 4th and 5th place. So now we'll see whether or not MDH will be able to reclaim their former glory of being in that first page.
Honestly, I think Expand should start to get really worried at this point, because when we look at the teams on the first page, well, including MDH, they are kind of marginally outperforming Expand in most of these rounds. And if this goes on, I think Expand would be the ones on the ropes. And considering the lead that they had and how consistent they were in the first 2 days, this is a trend that Expand is not a stranger to, but it's also something that they've found it really hard to break away from, which is that inconsistency. So there's still time to make up for it, but Expand needs to kind of hear those sirens blaring.
Yeah, I mean, being the only squad that, had been able to make it to that first page in spite of not taking any booyahs is really down to the consistency they can get, playing around in that midfield that allowed them to get this far. But then now, yeah, like I said, I think it's time for Expand to kind of pick up the pace here, because they're going to be in danger of getting overtaken by Team Flash, who's also seeing a resurgence themselves. V Gaming Esports is getting themselves up there. In fact, they're almost neck to neck when it comes to points between themselves and Team Flash. So certainly a bit of a worrying sign there for another Malaysian squad here, but what's different when it comes to this region here? We've seen plenty of interesting interactions. One, we see these different regions actually mingle with each other, and you don't usually get what you expect, do you?
Yeah, I mean, Expand, there's still time to make up for it. Just be a bit more aware. And of course, we gotta take our time to show gratitude and thank our partners and friends at Snapdragon Elite Gaming when winning matters. And winning is what these teams do for a living, it's what they are after. But the only team that's truly winning right now is Sam9. They have such a big cushion. They can probably not play the next 2 rounds and they will be fine. Expand used to have their luxury, but that one has been taken away. Now it belongs to Heavy. So we gotta see if that's gonna continue to be a trend, and if it is, then we might get a bit of flashback of Expand just in the past 2 tournaments that they were in, always missing out the jackpot by just mere single-digit points.
Yeah, and even with with the points being halved from phase 1, there could even be the potential of a situation where that half point actually makes a difference between you going to Jakarta or not, and that's an extra bit of pressure I think for Team Flash and V Gaming Esports specifically, because they're the only squads right now and the overall standings that don't have that half point there. So we'll have to see how things will turn out. We still have plenty of games to run through here, ladies and gentlemen, as we run into our 4th map for the day. Alpine, snowy hills, a snowfall is a starting point for where teams are going to be dropping off as the plane goes all the way eastwards, and Garrison is going to be the place that picks up the high tier loot zone. But we are seeing first Raiders actually making a beeline straight towards that. Any good hot drops to go around here? Haven't seen MDH jumped out yet, and they only have just gotten out, and looks like they're going to be following along with King of Gamers and maybe might land around Carousel and Sunside.
And I'm already seeing a very worrying start for Expand. This is exactly what we don't want to see. We've been praising them for sticking together and playing together as a unit in those early rounds, and it's not a coincidence that those rounds happen to be rounds where Expand performed really well on. And this spread out strat, it's something that Expand has been showing every now and then, but and they don't really have a high success rate on it. I think that's the part that concerns me. Thankfully, a lot of those teams around Expand are pretty far from them, so we won't see any contact early on, but hopefully it stays that way for Expand. Can't say the same for Spade though. That guy just gets hunted down by Nuke. A first blood for MDH.
Yeah, with double Chris as well, doing the deed here for MDH. So FARANG now forced to run away from this little fight here as they get across from the lake there, but that might actually run them into the hands of Anxiety as Shomai can be seen just over the port side here. But round Carousel is where FARANG is going to be setting up camp though, as they have a buy point to make use of here and to try to find some extra loot. But at the moment, the way the circle runs here, I mean, Expand's kind of idea usually is to kind of congregate close to or around Forest Red after having spread out. So we'll see whether or not this strategy works out for them, but it's already becoming a bit of a pattern that definitely other teams have noticed as well. In the meantime, MDH tries to fight out in the open field together with FARANG, and unfortunately lose a couple of their members as a result. Too Bad is still trying to hold his own here, using up his blue wall as a result. Don't Cry as well trying to get some shots into Too Bad, who is using the elevation to his advantage right now, but NP tries to keep one of the members gatekept from across the lake right now, as he now just bursts down all those blue walls now to make sure there's no cover on that pier.
Yeah, both teams are very far from each other, but Too Bad, he's gonna get slowly pincered. Gotta take care of Don't Cry first though. He's the one on mainland, and Don't Cry wins that one out. FARANG losing that 3rd member to MDH.
Yep, Jembo is the last person still standing for FARANG right now, and he's far off into the side of docks, but that's exactly where Shomai and Hawkeye are currently camped at. Fortunately for him, he will be able to buy back the rest of his team, so FARANG is going to be back to try to get themselves up to speed quickly. But then with MDH not resting on their laurels, they're actually trying to spread out here and head towards where Anxiety is, so perhaps they're trying to look for yet another fight on their hands here, and FARANG might just be caught up in the middle of it. King of Gamers spotted Jezebu. As meantime though, he's actually landed in a very, very bad spot, and he's caught up in the 1v4. Should be taken out, has been taken out unfortunately, as MDH now finds Jembo, trying to keep him locked up near these containers. I think Jembo is going to be taken out very soon.
And Nero just got down. Pistol in hand, but his team is there, so Jembo, easy prey for MDH. Just suffering from that reset though. That Spin and Too Bad actually just drops that shipyard, and unfortunately that's where Anxiety are. So Shomai gets an easy kill. FARANG down to the last man.
Yep, and MDH now congregating right here just as King of Gamers as well show up to the scene. So the thing is, Anxiety also went for the split strategy. 2 members went to the docks and 2 members went to Vantage. And that means that they're not going to be fighting at full strength. NP gets himself knocked down by a motorcycle. Opening round already fired off here by King of Gamers as Knight 77 scans around to see if there are any other members of MDH are knocked down with his 2 wheels. Finding no one, regroups back with his team. Nero is already on the docks now, trying trying to run away from this fight here because realizing the MDH doesn't really have a good advantage here. That he's going to try to look for a revive point, and also realizing the defense isn't quite big enough to allow him through there. He's going to have to go the long way around. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, Nero.
Yeah, he's going to get spotted if he's not too careful. Knight 7 is still roaming around. Nero managed to duck into the building just in time. And King of Gamers was just more focused on trying to regroup their members, though. Yeah. So Nero just kind of dodged the bullet there.
So close. And in the meantime, Don't Cry was able to bring DNP back. KOG are still kind of around this area at dock. So for Nero, he would have to kind of take the brunt of it. Stranded members of Anxiety and Farang also around this area.
Oh, UAV brought out though.
This is gonna be free pickings for KOG.
Indeed.
Huge utility
if
use.
they realize that they have the man advantage to 3 squads here. I mean, Nero, Shomai, and Spade are still lurking around here. They're going to be spot out. At least 2 of them, Anxiety and the MDH member, are now spotted. So Shomai is going to be taking fire from Osaka right now. Oscar moves up in order to try to meet him face to face with a baseball bat. And Shomai now stuck within a glue wall. That's going to be the end of him right there. King of Gamers can just find an angle to shoot at. But Kevin, oh my goodness, he's still able to slip away past the grabs just a little bit. But Shomai finally gets taken down by Osaka, who was waiting for him just outside of that zone. So now that's going to be Shomai down for the count. Haven't quite spotted Nero, nor have they spotted Spade quite yet.
Yeah, but it's more than enough. At least for KOG. Currently in 6th place, but I believe there's only 3 points separating them and MDH. So kind of need a bit more from that, and this is a good start. Anxiety able to make it out with the entire squad.
Oh no!
And Nero, he's been caught just by the beach, and Kevin puts in the rest. The 4th point for KOG, and a lot of these are just basically taking out stragglers. 3 points.
Yep, just 3 points there for King of Gamers, so that's certainly going to help them a lot in their campaign to get to continue to stay in that first page. In the meantime, though, the rest of MDH have already regrouped around Railroad and got the revives back in. This next circle lands right on top of the river. And that's giving me shades of yesterday when we had like a literal water circle with the river splitting that circle in half. And Axis Esports is already on the scene there, right smack in the middle. So now they're going to be thinking about how they can try to gatekeep the other teams making their way in, particularly DEWA United and Heavy. They're moving rapidly up the southern side and probably going to be running into Axis very, very soon. Another UAV has been brought up just north of the circle right now, probably try to spot anyone trying to make their way into the circle, which First Rangers is at the moment as they just entered Militia. So are they going to be meeting any resistance though? There's Flash on the western side, there's Sem9 on the eastern side, but Sem9 is also focused on getting towards the circle, probably towards base camp area first. UAV is going to be sent down towards Forts Red, but then Expanse has already moved from that position now to join up with Axis in the center of this next circle.
So far, it's a very populated circle. Foul Spade.
Uh-oh.
Found out by Anxiety, and he was so close on getting that point captured. Got a good leash for Anxiety though. Hawkeye brought back to life.
Yep. I mean, Anxiety managed to get themselves back up to speed as they only lost Hawkeye early on, and now they were having back. And oh my goodness, that's a really nice vehicle for them to have as well. Plenty of view and plenty of wheels to go around for everyone there. DEWA United, DEWA is now facing Expand here at the river mouth, and this is going to be where DEWA can potentially gatekeep Expand, but Expand now fighting together as a squad here, so it's not going to be an easy fight, especially with VGM also hitting the scene here, third-partying DEWA from behind. This is not the situation they need right now, so DEWA quickly exfils out of that position, gets himself into the diner now as they try to fend off VGM, who just literally showed up with a lot of firepower as well to boot. And then now Expand also being on the other on the bridge actually. This means VGM literally DEWA United is not going to have anywhere to run. X-Roy is going to try to take some pot shots onto VGM while they try to overrun DEWA United's position. So this is now turning into a three-way fight.
I think Expand can definitely afford to wait. Just let DEWA United and VGM kind of duke it out. And when the flame starts to fizzle, Expand can just come in and beat the janitors. But DEWA United are so disciplined. All of these teams, all 3 teams have their own personal compound. It seems like Expand are the ones that is getting a bit angsty, a bit impatient, getting those pot shots in. VGM very clear of where they are. The nade's getting thrown by X-Roy. That one goes wide as well. And he's trying to break down all these glue walls just to expose VGM. Don't give them that barrier of safety. kind of liking this from Expand. DEWA United now on the defense. As Extra, he is the one kind of in the front line. And we have not heard a single thing from DEWA. They are just corralling themselves in the building. The ice grenade thrown in. Vantan forced onto kind of the midsection of the building as well. DEWA, what's the move? Seems like they just decide to let this play out.
I mean, this is also like an example, I think, of, you know, the third-party advantage at play here. No one team wants to be the first one to start to take over the other because they know that the third team will be one to clean up after them. So they're just kind of stuck in this little quandary here. So, and even with the circle landing on top of them, this is not going to solve their problems here because no team is going to be incentivized to move out of position unless another one moves up and actually fires off those first shots. So I think those three are just going to be stuck at this side of the river mouth here, and I can already see Expand is actually spotting Axis from across the river, trying to take some shots on them, while Flash, in the meantime, moves to take control over the northern side of the circle. Wonder whether or not they were thinking about trying to gatekeep MDH, who are all still kind of far away from this next safe zone. Expand has been spotted out with VGM. Now they're going to be engaged in a gunfight from building to building here. Bond's still taking position by the stairwell to watch out for DEWA United. DEWA actually using this opportunity. Yeah, they run straight across the bridge right now, and they're going to try to fight against someone else. This time it's going to be Axis and potentially Team Heavy.
Yeah, DEWA United making the smart move to slip away into the shadows, but they're not out of danger just yet. Buffalo getting the initial knock onto Ren. DEWA United in a really, really tough spot. Time turner and a couple of glue walls used to bring Ren back up. It's VGM. They did have, I believe, Bensu knocked down just now, but they were able to bring him back out. So this deadlock, this stalemate is going to continue for a while between Expand and VGM. We have to wait for the circle to kind of force them away. Buffalo, another knock this time onto Knight. Okay, Oscar also gets knocked as well. Alright, Tom XT shows up. Heavy goes in for the push. And KOG, they're out of this one.
Wow, that was so fast. And I also want to point out something a bit amusing. Literally, First Raiders taking the high ground here by completely huddling up on that lighthouse in the middle of the river mouth. So that's kind of amusing to see that they're just trying to hedge all their bets on that one position there. In the meantime, Heavy now under fire from DEWA from across the side here, but they also have to watch out beside them, which is Axis Esports also huddled together in that little building, while now Sem9 is making their way and trying to prevent MDH from making their way into the safe zone. Now Newbie unfortunately gets knocked down, and oh my goodness, he was the last one standing, and Sem9 gets eliminated in 10th place by MDH.
I think 2-3 of them perished to the blue zone. It was just not a fight that they could win. Not against MDH. Finally, a slightly underwhelming round for Sem9, but again, they have a cushion to fall back to, so not too rough for them. As Exac gets a knock onto a member of Heavy, and now MDH, they're gonna fly right in, landing on top of Team Flash, but they really don't have the numbers to pull this off though. Don't Cry is already down, and it's Lozzy from high ground, from that lighthouse that took him out. MDH no longer in this game. First Raider is still around, but now they have revealed the position to Team Flash. The question is, how does Team Flash deal with this? Oh, wow, and they shoot them, I guess. Bloody good one onto Darko. They'll have to use that glue wall to provide a bit of cover and bring him back up. Anxiety also under pressure. First Raiders, though, they have so many angles to watch, and they are actually doing a decent job. Basic is not. Rap steals that away, unfortunately, as First Raiders are just not able to finalize those kills.
And what I worry about for First Raiders is that they know where to escape, because even if they decide to exfil from this position, they're going to be surrounded on all sides. You already got Anxiety and Flash putting pressure onto them, and then behind them as well, they got Heavy currently locked in battle with VGM as well as Expand. So now First Raiders needs to get a knockdown onto one of these squads here that are approaching them, Anxiety or Team Flash, and then there's really not really a good place for them to just continue that base of fire, because there's not much cover on top of the lighthouse itself. Now Heavy in the meantime face to face now with Expand as they try to pile into this house here. VGM as well getting to the mix, but unfortunately losing too many members. Flash as well getting the shots done to Vantan and Bond, and they've both been taken out here. DEWA United now facing the wrath of Buffalo. Blue Wall came out just in time to prevent the headshot from coming through.
Yeah, can Buffalo do this though? I mean, Minao, he is not in the shape to fight. DEWA United winning this exchange so far. Minao able to escape with the cover of Buffalo. As Heavy, they get to regroup. There is a buy point right there. Maybe Heavy can revive the two fallen teammates. And they do. A bit more of a lifeline for the team. Meanwhile, on the other side, again, I mean, so many skirmishes happening. Team Flash trying to make a break for it, but Buffalo, oh, he's watching. This guy has eyes of a hawk. Binsu is out. VGM no longer in the round. Buffalo continuing to apply pressure. DEWA United somehow still running. Now Expand makes it into the circle as well. But as I say, the circle constricts. And look at who is in the circle. It's Heavy in the best possible position to gatekeep multiple teams.
And speaking of gatekeeping, First Raiders now being gatekept by Flash on the ground floor, while First Raiders are still up on the lighthouse. So they're in a very tough spot here. Now going to be forced to get down on the ground and fight on the dirt here, and they're already taking a lot of damage. Their Dark Hole being taken out by Yenbin. 60's Rav also taking shots against DEWA as they try to overrun Axis' position. DEWA United right now scrambling to try to get through this maze of blue walls here, trying to find an angle. They managed to take down Ren so far, but Neptune wraps around trying to find another member of DEWA to finish up, but it looks like they've already cleared out the spot here. Yes, they do. They take down Firuz there, and now they have control over this one little building.
Yeah, I love this urban warfare. This is absolute chaos. 5 teams remain. Expand makes it in a slower round for them, but most importantly is that they have the whole team left alive. Heavy on that rooftop, and it feels like Expand might have an idea where Heavy might be. Soza with the grenade launcher actually lands that one onto Pudai. Mina is going to bring him back up though. There is still a lot of room for Heavy to work with. First Raiders makes it onto dry land from that lighthouse, and now there's going to be a 5-team slobber knocker. X-Droid takes one in the face courtesy of Exact as Heavy, they're getting pressure by the grenade launcher. Soza lands one, and with help from Neptune, Anxiety are out of this one. Axis, 4-man strong. Flame is low, not out just yet, and Axis, they're piling up the knockdowns. First Raiders Eclipse no longer in this game. Axis with 8 kills, and they're still hitting it strong. Mina brought back up by Tom XD. Heavy getting absolutely pushed from multiple angles. It seems like the Malaysians won the final showdown as Mina goes down. Tom XD with a double revolver blows Neptune's head off. Axis, they still have enough numbers though. Exact go down, Neptune back up. Heavy is out, and this is Expand's chance to finally bag the Booyah in the second phase. But X1 and Cobra are down. X-Ray is not much help, but it is just enough for shots to come true for the team. Expand finally grabs a Booyah.
Finally, in phase number 2, this Booyah has eluded them for so long and just came in time right now, and especially is especially sweet given the fact that they also were able to fight against Heavy in this final circle here. But still, credit where it's due as well. First Raiders actually pulled off quite a monster of a fight there, really taking down Team Flash from that lighthouse position and then trying to, you know, overrun Heavy, only get cut down by Axis before they were able to get that reposition done. But wow, I mean, another very, very exciting final circle we're seeing here. This is going to be the pattern for phase 2, isn't it?
Yeah, today's final circle have all been just urban warfare. It felt like there's a theme set without anyone knowing, but I mean, Expand finally getting that Booyah after so long, and it's also on their favorite map as well, on Alpine, so maybe it's a sign for what's to come, but that was kind of what they need to make sure that they don't fall too far behind, right? Sure, you know, Heavy and Team Flash also had a good round, but the most important part is that Expand is able to keep up with the rest of the pack.
Exactly, and this is exactly what they need at this point, because, you know, so far they've been able to get away with not taking the Booyahs just from consistency, but then we've seen that consistency drop now in day number 3 here. So hopefully this is going to be the charge that they need in order to get themselves back in contention here for second place. But also with Heavy also having resurgence today and yesterday as well, they've also been on the climb and just been cut short a little bit for this round in particular. And looking at this specific kind of like final fight as well, the chaos here that these fights tend to produce makes it very much a game of reactions, I feel, because it's not so much going to be about positioning when it comes to these close quarters urban fights. It's more about how quickly you can set up blue walls, how quickly you can get throwables out, and, you know, how quickly can you react to changing circumstances on the ground. And in that regard, you know, I think Axis did very well to try to you know, slowly make a progress while at the same time cutting down teams in their pathway. And you know, bringing into this final fight here, it was down to literally the last person on the squad to really bring that difference. After Heavy got eliminated, it became basically a free-for-all as Expand was just able to clear out most of the field, opening the ground for Sia to put in the final shot.
Yeah. Honestly, you can even say to a certain extent that Axis had a better round than Expand, despite Expand getting the Booyah, just because they did so much more work. But either way, Expand getting that round for themselves. First ever booyah of phase number 2, 19 points to boot. Axis coming in second with 17, Heavy with 15, finishing third. First Raiders, no, even though it's a very passive approach, they still were able to bag 11 for themselves.
Yeah, and I think passivity is also on the cards for Sem9 because they only came away with only a single placement point. FARANG getting themselves caught out in multiple different fights, even on that eastern front there. So that didn't do any favors with them as they only were able to get net 2 kills. King of Gamers Club as well kind of suffering a little bit in this round because even though they were on the scene for this final circle, they got cut down relatively early and only managed to net 4 kills in total. MDH as well, I was kind of pegging them for being able to get into this final circle. Didn't quite work out as planned though, as they were able to do some good work, but not enough to get them into that final fight. So now that we're going to be going to another reset here, I mean, with Expand finally getting that booyah, can this become like a new changeover for how they've been in a slump actually for the last days in this phase 2? Do you think that this could be signs of things to come?
Hopefully. Every time I say it, Expand I mean, it's a team that we've been saying has a lot of potential, but just not, he hasn't shown enough consistency to kind of maintain it. But hopefully after this round, they, get more of that confidence. We can see they actually, all smiles after that booyah. So at least it's good to know that Expand still have a very positive mindset. We still have 2 more rounds to go, and even if they don't get the booyahs, they should know that they're consistently getting enough points to stay on the top. So booyah doesn't define everything, and Expand probably will take some time to figure that out. But for now, what we have figured out is that our friends really love doing this for the people, so we love them as well. Snapdragon Elite Gaming, when winning matters, doing this for 2 seasons straight, giving everyone the platform to showcase what they're made of. So these players have so much more to offer. And we also have Samsung Galaxy being the latest addition to our Snapdragon Pro Series. They basically powered the SPS, so we are glad to have them on board, and we wish this journey will last a long time. But we also have Monster Energy that allows everyone to unleash the beast within them, so check them out at www.monsterenergy.com/gaming. And last but not least, if you're a big fan of great deals and game top-ups, check out www.kachishop.com and get your daily, weekly, monthly dose of great game top-up deals. And with that being said, we still have 2 more rounds to come. Gonna hit that reset button and head to Bermuda for round number 5, only after this break.
The Snapdragon Pro Series powered by Samsung Galaxy is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Galaxy Z Fold 4, Monster Energy, and Kachi Shop.
Scenario, win, yeah, we on a roll. Yeah, 2, 4, 6, we like 10 and 0. I should probably tell them something that they didn't know. Back then we was down with nowhere to go. Might have been down, but we didn't fall. Now we running it like some intervals. Ooh, what now? Tell me who you see when you look straight up. Like, wait, who us now? What you gonna do when we pull up on you? Like, ooh, touchdown. You already know what it is when I come through you. Ooh, shut down. Shut down. Say, ooh, what now? Tell me who you see when you look straight up. Like, wait, who us now? What you gonna do when we pull up on you? Like, ooh, touchdown. You already know what it is when we come through you. Ooh, shut down. Ooh, shut down. Ooh, give me that crown. I need that now, right now. Ooh, don't make a sound. This is my time. You hear the crowd. Hey, we need that rain. Me and my team. Deja vu, this here a dream. We done all seen 100 times over back when we was just teens. Now we going dumb, told them we the one. They would count us out, now we counting up the funds. Now without a doubt, they be throwing up the ones. Like they was always rapping, yeah, believe them if you want. Now they show love, came with a dub. It is what it is, it isn't what it was. They all love to hate when it don't work out. Tell you that they always been down when it does. Look. Say, ooh, what now? Tell me who you see when you look straight up. Like, wait, who? Now, what you gonna do when we pull up on you? Like, ooh, touchdown. You already know what it is when we come through you. Ooh, shut down. Ooh, shut down.
Welcome to the place where dreams come true. Where everything you want can be yours. If and only if you're willing to work for them. You're willing to hurt for them. But most of all, you're willing to be first for them. Ha! Look, I'm going straight to the top.
We're going to hit the reset button and head to Bermuda for the upcoming round 5 in the Snapdragon Pro Series Free Fire Challenge Group Stage Phase number 2, Day 3. My name is Husky. Alongside me is Victor. With so much to kind of go through because today the Booyahs have all been donned by the Malaysians.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like an all-Malaysian kind of affair when it comes to those final fights. Even FARANG was getting into the mix as well. But I think like Sam9 very solidly has made a case for themselves to just continue to stay in the lead right now. I mean, even with Heavy's big kind of push here in this last round, it's only been enough to get them within 4 points of 300 at this point. And Sam9 is already far in the lead there at 236.5. So it's still going to be up to a question. It's going to be a question of whether or not Heavy will be able to overtake a Sam9. I think it's still up in the air right now. Expand certainly has been able to step it up now, having abysmal rounds there, but then finally getting the Booyah has been certainly a boost now to keep them in 3rd place ahead of Team Flash. MDH as well has already done enough to tie themselves with King of Gamers Club in terms of points. 219.5 points for both of these squads here, but MDH takes the 6th spot by virtue of being the most recent team to get that points margin.
Yeah, and they also have a Booyah over KOG who has yet to get one for themselves. So that's going to be really important if we get to the tiebreaker at the end of Phase 2. But you know, that's still a pretty long way away. Access Esports getting closer and closer to KOG. Something that I think King of Gamers Club need to pay more attention to. But the rest of the standings remain unchanged. First Raiders, Eclipse, and DEWA United Esports still side by side. We have Anxiety in 11th and FARANG at the bottom. But for the last 2 rounds, let's keep our eyes out for KOG, Expand, and Access Esports. 3 drastically different teams in terms of where they are on the leaderboard right now. Expand in 3rd, KOG in 7th, and Access in 8th place.
Yeah, so Access Esports certainly will have the harder kind of job really out of the 3, given that they are still quite far off from matching King of Gamers kind of points at the moment before it can even think about breaking into that first page. But nevertheless, though, we wouldn't have been having these kind of opportunities here, bringing you guys Free Fire action if it wasn't for our sponsors. And one of the new ones to join us in this journey is Samsung Galaxy, featuring their latest phone, the Z Fold 4. This is a phone that actually folds out to give you bigger screen real estate, which I think will be a huge boon for you mobile gamers out there, because now you got so much more screen real estate to rebind your controls and just a bigger screen in general to play your games on. So make sure you guys check out the Samsung Galaxy's latest addition to the lineup here, because I think it could be something really worth going for if you're a hardcore gamer like ourselves.
Yeah, you know what they say, the bigger the screen, the easier it is to land your shots, right? The bigger the screen, the bigger the enemy's hits. It's just logic, it's pure science.
Yeah, I mean, as a PC gamer as well, you know, we always go for the bigger monitors because we get to see a lot more. You know, you have a wider field of view you can potentially use in games, and more importantly, it kind of like gives a bit of a magnification effect, I would call it that way, especially when you're trying to snipe someone from a distance. You don't have a scope. Sometimes you have a bigger screen that allows you to see those little guys just off at a distance a little bit better, especially when you're trying to get those one-on-one headshots.
Yeah, gone are the days where you can't see the enemy because they're too far. Now with that, it's going to be a big game changer. We are going to Bermuda for game number 5, so the second last round of the day, and also, you know, the second last round of the first week of Phase 2. We're already at the halfway point at this stage, so hopefully the teams can kind of make a bit of a comeback. Again, my focus is on the second page. I think teams on the first page, 1st to 5th place, are already in a very comfortable spot.
Indeed they are. So it's more about, you know, the last slot to get in Jakarta, which is 6th spot, currently held by MDH. Early on it was held by King of Gamers. Now they've been relegated to the second page here. Access Esports also making the climb up, and in fact going all the way northwards here with the plane, taking a south eastern to northwestern kind of approach, splitting this map evenly in half. We already see FARANG taking advantage of that high-tier loot zone, just spawning very close to that flight path by jumping straight onto it and completely almost unopposed there outside of one member of Expand really trying to run interference onto 2 Bat there, it looks like, as X-Roy tries to make his way into the blue zone now, spots out 2 Bat, tries to get knocked down, does get the knockdown. Can he get elimination? Yes, he does. That's good enough, my man. It's time to exfil.
Yeah, it's just time to get out of this. Because nearby Clock Tower, I believe Anxiety also dropped right there. So worst case scenario would be Anxiety kind of start winning those initial fights. But so far, KOG, they're not winning theirs. Kind of getting gunned down by the members of Team Flash. 7-9 also getting the same treatment from VGM. It seems like the VS have basically sprung into action.
Yep, I mean, at the moment, VGM is they had been having a climb really throughout phase number 2, and so far has been good enough to keep themselves in 5th place. Early on, they were in 4th though, so we'll see whether or not they'll be able to continue on the streak. But at the moment, there's a single member of 7-9 they're trying to hunt out for. It's just spotted here. Boyte unfortunately gets the wrong end of the barrel there as he gets knocked down by Raja first, who has the double Chris. He's going to try to find another member to take down. He takes down Bingsu as well. What is this? A one-man army here? Vantan might be next on the list, but he fortunately is able to cut him down with the shotgun, and that allows them to finally put an end to Raja's little streak.
Honestly, Raja almost became the hero.
Yeah.
All those isolated fights are really dangerous when you're up against a double vector. Something that, I think VGM kind of learned the hard way. MDH, on the other hand, they just revived their team and they decided, you know what? We're also gonna get active. Taking on DEWA United in Cape Town. See if DEWA United, how they respond to this. MDH are very much coordinated, having a vehicle, but DEWA United, they are huddling inside this house and making sure that the spots are split. Viro's first one to go down, 1-for-1 trade thus far. Ren's providing a bit of backup, but it's forced back by MDH.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that the motorcycle is supposed to play more of a bait, but it looks like MDH is just trying to use it to flank around DEWA, but now the plan is completely gone to the wall now as DEWA just fights him out in the open ground. They're already catching Nuke as well as another member of MDH now. Don't Cry is the last person kind of holding on here. No, actually, Rain is the last person still holding out here for DEWA United as he now runs into Nero, tries to knock him down here, spinning around underneath the cover of the Time Turner, but the glue walls prevent them from being able to run out of this situation here. So Rain takes an L and DEWA gets relegated out of this round in 12th place.
I try to fight Nero in a very tight ring, but Nero just wins it out. I think Rain didn't have the gun to kind of outgun Nero, at least in the cross-quarter combat. So unfortunately for DEWA United, catching up to top 6 will have to wait just a bit longer.
In the meantime, when we look at across the map right now, first Raiders actually picking up some good points for themselves here, tied up with MDH as well in terms of points. Farang now, after being invaded a little bit by Expanse, now is going to get invaded by Buffalo here from Heavy, who just made his way into the zone, the high-tier loot zone. So he's probably looking to try to find a good sniper rifle for himself. And if he does, Farang might be facing a bit of pressure there because Buffalo can be pretty handy at taking those long-range engagements. He does need a bit of backup though, because I don't think Buffalo alone is going to be able to handle Farang by themselves. Now he's inside the loot zone, trying to see if he can find any good last-minute loot before inevitably having to face against Farang. But so far, this place looks very, very empty.
Yeah, it does, but it's definitely not empty. Right here on screen, Axis and Team Flash about to kick off in a bit. Team Flash, they are down one man, so Axis, they're trying to push the pressure a bit, making sure that Team Flash doesn't have any room to breathe.
The bonfire.
2 versus 1. The bonfire not healing Shin up enough. As also Yan been trying to turn the corner, but he just does not have health. Team Flash just gone with the win. Axis, massive, massive elimination.
Yep, and Raph, I wonder what is he actually doing there? Just kind of like shooting the ground, looks like. Maybe trying to waste some ammunition for some reason. Nevertheless, they won out this fight pretty handily though, so Axis very much having control in this sector here. Now let's see whether or not they'll be able to continue on this momentum going down southwards, where first Raiders might be on a course right now to meet up with Expanse out in the open field here. King of Gamers may potentially become a backdoor to this situation situation while we now witness this fight that's breaking out between Sem9 as well as VGM. Sem9 a little bit spread out here, while VGM mostly concentrated in that center. Boite and his teammate now teammates now rejoining him on the front here. Bingsu spots out Fikri, tries to keep him suppressed while his teammates come in now with the car as well. Fikri is going to be down for the count, will be eliminated as well by the Charge Buster, and they have control over DEWA.
And Sem9 thankfully are still in this game. Kind of a minor reset button for VGM. They did got out to a rough start, but able to revive the two fallen teammates and get a couple of kills for themselves definitely is a big boon. But unfortunately for Sem9, they had a slow round on Alpine, and this round kind of feels like it as well. Newbie not having the coins to buy his teammates back means that you have to go for that long march to find a revival point. There is one at Graveyard that he can bank on though.
Yep, that new circle now lands on top of King of Gamers, First Raiders, Expand, as well as FARANG. So they're already on the scene, and it seems like it's very much biased towards Peak. We also have an airship just cutting across that new circle now, so that could be potential for some loot here on the way for First Raiders, Expand, or King of Gamers, depending on who actually wins out the battle in the middle now, as they're starting to congregate around this point. Axis, in the meantime, riding along with the blue wall here. Looks like they want to try to go towards inside here to maybe check out the revive point, because I think it's being summoned, and that actually is obviously everyone on the map right now, so they want to try to see if they can cut out another team from this final fight. King of Gamers in the meantime has already met up against Expand, and Exact meantime was the one who spots out the last member of Sem9, taking them out of the lobby in 10th place.
Yeah, another slow round for Sem9. The downward spiral continues. KOG, they have decided to kind of set up shop around here. They still have, one of their members going on expedition is Oscar. There's a lot of noise being made. First Raiders, as well as Expand, will hear this going on around them. But KOG has been able to stay out of trouble for now. And Roy on the other end, he is just fishing for a couple of shots, not able to find it. But KOG just nicely out of sight.
Not out of sight because VGM has actually started to creep up behind them, so KOG is actually turning around to try to prevent VGM from backdooring them. So this has given Expanse a bit of space now to try to set themselves up a little bit better on that hillside. But the problem with that hillside is that there's literally no other urban areas for them to hide into. Now that King of Gamers has successfully forced VGM off, they can turn around now and keep their focus onto Expand. Meantime, Axis is making a rapid reposition towards Bakmati Strip, and probably will be joining the rest of the squads here in the middle. So you can see this is getting very crowded. At the top of the hill, who knew? It's First Raiders yet again.
Yeah, First Raiders have been getting those reads right very, very consistently today. Just constantly putting themselves in the center, but it also means that First Raiders aren't really actively looking for those kills, right? We're looking at, we were talking about needing kills and placement points to get a bigger boost, but if First Raiders plays this and it works out, it will be slower, but eventually they will get there. Exacto, unfortunately, gunned down by KOG. Axis were right behind KOG trying to chase them down, but KOG reaches safety first. Now, Axis, they do have the cover of the factory, an area that KOG needs to cut through. But KOG, they actually have a second option. Just take the vehicles and ride around it. See what they have in mind though, because KOG, they have the man advantage.
So Axis is going to take on top of this, top of the factory here, which is a good position to try to defend from. The thing is that Axis is running with one man less. King of Gamers still have a full stack, so they will have the man advantage going in. The question is who's going to be able to spot the other out first. Oscar is going to try to go in with the motorcycle, reminding Axis that they're completely surrounded right now. Just a matter of time before King of Gamers decide to meet them up on this platform here. But Axis just holding position. They're really playing very patiently right now, not wanting to expose themselves to too much risk here. But pretty much it's going to be a battle for only the two of them. And with the circle actually landing on top of them, that actually might work out a little bit better for Axis. Not so much for First Raiders though. Now they're going to be forced to move out of Peak, and that might run them straight into where Farang and Heavy is. And even VGM might even spot them out before they were able to make that move. And the airship is coming through though, so I think First Raiders is also thinking about trying to pick up some good loot from that airship before heading to this next circle.
Yeah, so this Fire Factory is going to kind of just be stale for a while. Expand having majority of the control for the center of the circle. see FARANG shooting at Heavy just now. See that they're kind of moving towards Heavy as well. It's a challenge from FARANG.
Just picking up loot that's actually been scattered around here thanks to the airship. And that might inevitably land them straight into FARANG's gum site. Jembo's already starting to put some shots onto them, though. Onto another squad, it looks like, actually. Oh, they might have just spotted Heavy at that point there. So managed to flush them out as Heavy hears gunshots coming between Anxiety as well as MDH right now, who are locked in battle within this compound on the north of Pochinok. And DNP has Hawkeye very much locked inside the barn right now. Just need a couple of throwables to send in there in order to flush him out. Kanoho is just watching on the sidelines here together with the rest of the squad, trying to think exactly how they can try to pull this off. In the meantime, Hawkeye finally gets taken down there in spite of the fact he puts on a glue wall a little bit too early, I think, because it prevents, doesn't quite prevent anyone from walking up the staircases there. Now MDH realizes they lost that man. They're just going to go ahead and revive him back with the buy point. But Heavy is also showing up the scene, so this is now turning into a three-way fight with MDH being the sandwich in the middle.
Yeah, and a good glue wall
nice
just
one.
right on time to block that nade. Could have been devastating, but Heavy is fine. No, the nade didn't connect. They're gonna try and go for the rush. In fact, already made contact with a couple of MDH members. Don't cry. Good swing. Takes out Tom XD. Puts up the glue wall. Buys a bit of time. They need an elimination though. Don't cry. Is still holding on. The time turner just delaying this kill, but longer than it should have. And in the meantime, DNP has already gone down. Heavy continuing this push. Buffalo and me now sustaining substantial damage, but not enough to cripple them as MDH slowly get overrun by Heavy. Buffalo down on the ground, courtesy of a third party from Anxiety, as Nero takes this opportunity to go the runway and sneak to safety. Buffalo taken out by Kanoho. Heavy down to just 2 members.
I'm kind of worried about Nero right there, because the thing is that the blue zone can be very painful at this stage right now, but he's just risking it right now to use the buy point to bring back his teammates. So hopefully he'll be able to come out in time. B Gaming Esports in the meantime getting caught out by King of Gamers on the western side, so they will be eliminated in 9th place. Shomai continuing to try to bring a base of fire against Heavy as they move up along with the blue wall right now, and he's getting caught by a skill there, so he's going to be stuck in place for a little bit, waiting for it to wear off before he moves on. Unfortunately, the field is very wide open there for Heavy, whereas Anxiety already has a building for cover, so that's going to make it very hard for them to make this approach to this next circle. King of Gamers in the meantime finding MDH's last few members will wipe them out completely, so they are out in 8th place.
Yeah, KOG also starting to move into the safe zone as well, and now it's Axis' turn to kind of push into FARANG, who were in factory for the entire time. Extra!
Wow!
What a grenade launches shot to wipe out DEWA United, but Axis, they're not out of the woods just yet. This factory might just be the graveyard. Anxiety pressuring both FARANG and Axis from the high ground. You can see Flame, he's trying to find a way out, but gets sniped by Knight instead. KOG getting the last laugh out of that one, as Axis have only Neptune left alive, trying to heal himself back up. Not spotted just yet, but that is going to come to an end. Jemba will just run him over with the bike. Then it makes to send a message. Heavy in the meantime perish to the blue zone. Anxiety to follow as well. Axis somehow still alive. I thought Neptune was a roadkill, but apparently not. And now even gets a couple of free shots onto Oscar, but he has just alerted the entirety of KOG where he is.
I mean, so no less amusing the fact that Jumbo keeps going for those 2-wheel kills, but unfortunately it's a little bit too close for comfort here, so he's the one going to get taken out. Neptune gets spotted by Osaka, so there's one good shot there to eliminate Axis in 3rd place. Now it's going to be between King of Gamers and Expand. Expand looking for another booyah, but unfortunately Shah is going to be found first by Knight 77 as King of Gamers move up together with the glue walls. Now they're going to burn through the kit here. 2 more glue walls left. Osaka, well, he moves up to bring in the front closer and closer to Expand. Unfortunately, get knocked down. Only Oscar is the last one left standing, and Expand uses his opportunity to swarm the entire front. Takes the second booyah for them today, and boy, that's going to be a sweet one for them.
Yeah, recovery is the term. Expand does it 2 rounds in a row. Oh, you love to see it. And I see Umi, at the corner. That is the one who put the entire team together. Follow them all the way to Bangkok as well for the World Series. Just a nice, lovely lady. Pour her heart and soul into this team. Let's see the reward. 2 booyahs in a row. Expand finally making that recovery. And this is, to be honest, one of the better days that they've had since the start of the group stage.
Since the start of phase 2 even, because like they kind of like had a significant lead from phase 1 to kind of like use, but then the thing is that throughout phase 2 we have seen them in kind of a bit of a slump, and kind of it might be down to sort of the strategic decisions they made, and also like the other teams kind of waking up in this second phase here, making things a lot more competitive, especially on that second page. But then now we expand, taking Booyah here, and now that's certainly putting themselves in a good case now to retake the position from Heavy, potentially even more prize pool points there, and further solidifying their position going into Jakarta. But Axis as well tried their very best, I think, in this round, but it just seems like they were kind of cut short by some of these other Vietnamese squads who just literally were littered around this map here. King of Gamers in particular were very good in just keeping them completely holed up inside that warehouse, and there was nowhere to run for that point. Anxiety, the only Filipino squad in this competition so far, hadn't really found any good sort of like plays. I think this was actually as good as it gets here. Good as well. I mean, never gets less amusing here, just watching people get run over by vehicles in this game. It's just so satisfying as well to see like your enemy just getting pushed off so hard when you run them over. But when it came to that final fight though between King of Gamers and Expandum was the one who showed up to the fight and showed up really well. 12 kills in total to King of Gamers 8, and King of Gamers kind of got decimated from the get-go, which allowed Expand to rapidly overtake their position, which in the end gave them that booyah.
I just want to say that Neptune is probably Iron Man, because I saw him getting ran over by a bike 2 times in a row, and somehow when we looked at him, he has full health. So I don't know what happened there, but this guy is built different. Expando, just really happy, for them as a team. I think the boys were pretty beaten up after the World Series, just missing by 2 points. But right now to see this recovery in the second phase of the group stage means that there is still something left in the tank. And the interesting thing was that even before the challenge group stage kicked off, Umi was really confident that Expand is going to go to Jakarta, because when we were talking about Snapdragon Pro Series after they failed to qualify for the World Series finals, we didn't say let's see if they can qualify for Jakarta. The language that was used was they are going to Jakarta anyways. So it's a lot of confidence, a lot of faith, loving it from the team, and they are showing that they deserve to get those plane tickets. And as we are approaching kind of the end of the halfway point for phase 2, this is a good note to end on, and they just have to do it for 3 more days next week.
Yeah, so definitely on the up and up, and especially lovely that they have that confidence to say that yeah, we are going to Jakarta. It's just a matter of how we're going to be able to pull it off.
Especially for Umi, she's the one that is very certain that they're going to go to Jakarta. Though Jakarta is still pretty far away, but it's good to see that some of these teams are really stepping it up. One more round before we close out the first week of phase 2, and that's going to be on Kalahari, but that will only happen after this break.
The Snapdragon Pro Series powered by Samsung Galaxy is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Galaxy Z Fold 4, Monster Energy, and Kachi Shop.
Welcome to the place where dreams come true, where everything you want can be yours, if and only if you're willing to work for them, you're willing to hurt for them, but most of all, you're willing to be first for them. Ha! Look, I'm going straight to the top. I don't know how I would stop, like it or not. I got some goals that I'm hitting. You hear what I'm spitting? It's hot. Look what I got. Whole lot of passion and pain. The road to success is insane. Stay out my lane, cause I'm on a mission. I'm getting what stands in my way. Yeah, I'm a beast. I wouldn't play with me, baby. The way that I'm training is crazy, and I do it daily. You wanna talk about drive? I got more drive than Mercedes. I've never been lazy. I'm in the room, it's a red alert. You wanna compete? Well, get better first. I got 10 toes in the dirt, push through the hurt just to show them my worth. I'm the best. Yeah, I'm the best. I never stress. I know what's next. I'm who they test, like we playing chess. But I'm unimpressed, so now let me flex. Ha. Yeah, I'ma work through the struggle and hurt, cause I know my worth, and I gotta be first. Ha. Yeah, I gotta be first. Look, I don't want anyone's sympathy. I understand what is meant for me. I give my focus and energy. If it's meant to be, then it's meant to be. But mentally, I'm undefeated. They hear that and say I'm conceited. Like there's no reason. Like I don't beat them and come back again just to teach them that when you work under pressure, you reach higher measures. They'll try and bring you down, but you cannot let them and only get better and focus on cheddar. Eye on the prize and you'll become a legend. Like, when I'm in the room, it's a red alert. You wanna compete, well, get better first. I got 10 toes in the dirt. Push through the hurt just to show them my work. I'm the best. Yeah, I'm the best. I never stress. I know what's next. I'm who they test. Like we playing chess. But I'm unimpressed. So now let me flex. Yeah, I'ma work through the struggle and hurt. Cause I know my worth. And I gotta be first. Yeah, I gotta be first. They don't know what's gotten into me. How'd I turn pain into energy? Through all the struggle and hurt, remember my worth, and that's why I gotta be first.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, for another round of Free Fire here at the Snapdragon Pro Series. Probably the final round here for today, actually. So hope you guys actually been joining us this journey. My name is Victor Cax. Joining me here is Husky. It's been an all-Malaysian affair, really, when it comes to those booyahs, hasn't it?
It is. I mean, if you are watching this broadcast and you didn't, get through our intro and look at the teams, you would think that this is just a Malaysian broadcast, but I promise you it is not. It just so happens that the MY teams today are on an absolute roll. We started off with, I think, Axis getting a booyah, and then Sem9 proceeded to get 2, and Expand now have just gotten their second booyah consecutively and putting them back in second place, overtaking Heavy, Team Flash in 4V Gaming Esports in 5th, KOG remaining in 6th. The rest of the standings on the second page are unchanged, but man, what a day it has been.
Actually, King of Gamers overtook MDH there in order to get into 7th place from the previous overall results.
It's
So
like this tug of war between these two teams.
I mean, we've been expecting that, given how close MDH and King of Gamers were in terms of those points. So I think it's still an open question right now who is going to be in that 6th spot, though. So, but that's the thing, it's very, very competitive, really, on the first page, which is kind of a change from yesterday, where the competition was mostly on that 2nd page. That's where we're seeing a lot more of those movements in terms of positioning. But after Axis Esports pulled off their booyah, it seems like that kind of established the pecking order right now for the 2nd page. It seems more likely that MDH and Axis may have that chance to get into that final 6 slots, at least by the time we reach the halfway point for phase number 2. But with Sem9, having dropped a couple of games, for the last couple of rounds there, in spite of that, they still maintain a pretty healthy lead, which is kind of a testament to how strong they've been performing in phase 2 so far.
They've gotten only 1 point across the past 2 rounds, and they still have a massive 32-point lead over the closest team to them, which is Expand. So we talk about the cushion, Sem9 kind of milking a bit. They only have 1 last round to go, and it's fair to say that even if they don't show up this round, they will still be in first place by the end of the first half for phase 2. But of course, Sem9, they have been probably they are the best performing team so far in this phase 2. They came in with a big lead and they still are maintaining that big lead. We'll see if they can keep it, though, with some of these teams slowly catching up. Especially, I think, Heavy and Expand, specifically Heavy, who has been on the utmost rise, and probably because of one of our sponsors, which is Monster Energy. I think Heavy is basically bleeding green at this point because Monster Energy has unleashed the beast within some of these squads. So check them out at www.monsterenergy.com/gaming.
Yeah, perfect kind of way to kind of fuel up your day, really, by getting a nice can of Monster Energy to start off your gaming experiences. So with that said, though, thank you so much for those sponsors for allowing us this platform to allow the most talented players here in Southeast Asia to show their stuff, and particularly for Free Fire as well. Without these sponsors, they really wouldn't have such a huge prize pool to fight over to begin with. So
I'm actually holding a can of Monster right now. You can't see it because of the green screen behind me, but I guarantee you it's right here.
Yeah, it's literally right there.
It's
so
right here.
Just get swig off of it, right? And that's the kind of problem with green screen productions. Sometimes some colors just literally go invisible for you here. So nevertheless, though, now coming to this final round here is going to be on Kalahari. We saw a brilliant Kalahari round early on today. Will we see a repeat of that kind of situation again? I mean, it's kind of unlikely, I feel, but then I would love to see more of those kind of like vertical versus, the kind of fights where you have plenty of verticality. So it's more about who's holding what position and whether or not that final circle actually favors that position.
Yeah, we've had 5 straight rounds of just urban warfare, total chaos towards the very end. If we get that for Kalahari again, I am not complaining at all.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw how the dynamics between some of these teams, right? First Raiders and Sem9 in particular, where First Raiders, had the idea of trying to play the survival game, but I felt like either way, Sem9 would have gotten that towards the end because they were so well prepared. So hopefully we get to see it again. Please, Circle. We're going to head into Kalahari and see and kind of find out for ourselves. This is the last round of the first half of phase number 2 before we close up shop for the week. So we'll see how this turns out.
Yep, so already right off the bat, people are just jumping off very, very quickly now. Expand currently going for that split movement once again. We see Anxiety as well as First Raiders thinking about going for the refinery, but kind of cancelling at the last moment, instead choosing to take onto the outskirts. Only MDH seems to be close enough to fully take control of refinery from the get-go. DEWA United has taken onto the high-tier loot zone. We always see shots being rung out on the eastern side. Expand and Heavy right now exchanging fire, as well as MDH as well as Axis on the other side of the map. Now X-Roy is going to try to wrap around here to see if we can get a good spot here to try to snipe against the sniper that is Buffalo, who hasn't quite picked up a sniper rifle yet, so there might still be a chance here for X-Roy to take him on.
He has a charge buster in hand, so Tom, you have to be really careful because that thing can one-shot you. And that's why Heavy, that doing it in a very cautious manner. Just go for the double out onto X-Roy, double revolver doing the job. One of their biggest opponents in this entire phase 2, so Heavy very happy to get that first kill.
I think there's a reason why those like double revolver is such a popular setup here for Team Heavy, because I think the per shot damage is actually quite significant. That if you are able to land those shots there, even with a higher a gun with a higher rate of fire, like the double vectors, may not be able to keep up with that level of DPS. So perhaps like it's a bit of a risky kind of thing to use for sure. But I mean, risk versus reward. The reward is just certainly much greater to be able to get those close quarter kills there using the double revolver. First Raiders now going up against Zen OP. He's been spotted just as he exfil out of the warehouse. Souza's going to try to keep him locked down here. Blue wall's going to be set up here as well, and he knows, oh, just one bust there to try to bust down the blue walls. Souza now tries to take it to the high ground. Zen OP very much in trouble right now. He cannot get himself out of his quandary. As look at the charge buster that's busting out those glue walls as if they were made of nothing. Zen OP though was able to slip by while Souza had to wait a little bit to get his health back up. Tries to get interrupted a little bit there because of Zen OP running around the outside, but now he's be forced to try to put his health up. Oh, the grenade
so
barely just came true, and Zen OP unfortunately will be punished heavily because of that.
Yeah, Souza decided to prone because his hoodie was showing. That could have been a deadly, could have had deadly consequences. But both teams suffering a bit of damage and anxiety cleaned up by Team Flash.
Yeah, Team Flash, who landed close to the shrines there, also landed on top of where anxiety was. So a bit unfortunate for the Filipino squads to be the first team to get bowed out in the last round for today. Bond meeting with Axis as well. Looks like they're going to be taking a fight right now on the Council Hall. A favorite spot here if we take these close quarter fights, and Bond is taking the high ground here against Neptune.
What?
But Reed's teammates are the ones coming true from the stairwell, finishing off Neptune and ensuring that they also take down 666 Raph as well, just around the outside.
Axis, this is probably the last step for them.
Double kill.
I mean, I was surprised that Neptune did that jump shot and actually just one-shotted one of the VGM guys. But at the end of the day, Axis just not having a day at all. He's not having a round. Flame able to somehow slip away. So keeping the Axis dream alive in this final round.
Yeah, but next revive point is at confinement. He's already making his way to that compound here. If he can get them up to speed quickly enough, perhaps it might be a chance. But we also see VGM making the way down there, knowing the Axis is still trying to get themselves back into the fight. Farang, in the meantime, getting caught out by X-Roy, who is a little bit far off from the rest of his team, I think. But then
he just respawned. Come on.
That's just adding. Just kicking him while he's down, isn't it? So, nevertheless, though, the kill point is a point, and Farang has just taken that pretty handily.
And Expand, they actually took control of command post, but the problem is there's a danger zone on it, and also they just lost Roy. So this is going to be a 3 versus 4 affair if Farang decides to push in. And they have done this, you know, multiple times where they also want to contest command post. It's a hard zone for these two Malaysian squads, and Farang now, they have the advantage.
Kind of, they have to kind of wait until the danger zone goes out because they cannot really afford to walk out to the open area because that risks them getting bombarded by this danger zone. So that's a little bit of a reprieve here, allowing Expand to try to set up a good ambush point. In the meantime, Flash seems to have caught up to the Council Hall just as VGM has already moved on to confinement, and that is well, they're going to find there's only probably about scraps to pick up here. Not much in terms of good equipment, but nevertheless, there are still in the middle of this next safe zone that's already come out here. A bit of a northwards bias here for this current circle, so that kind of puts teams like Heavy in a bit of pressure here as Axis are jumping back into the map, and it seems like they're taking position to try to gatekeep Heavy from their position. In the meantime, Farang now moving in after the danger zone has cleared, are seeking to try to knock Expanse off of this perch here on command post. They already spot the Axel, putting some damage onto him too bad, wrapping around the left-hand side, trying to cut him off before he runs away. Now Axel has been completely caught out here with the glue wall. They get a good shot here to take him down, so Expand now down to 3 with X-Roy just only joining the fight, but he's going to making a beeline straight for Bayfront.
And that means it's actually a 4 versus 2, and you can see that Expand, they do not want to be a part of this at all. Command post has been lost. Expand not in the shape to fight. Cobra, unfortunately, will have to make his last stand here as Shah scatters into the wind. Very, very questionable decisions. I mean, Expand from the beginning, the fact that Roy was revived and still chose to be out there so far alone is in and of itself kind of a disadvantage to the team, a handicap that Expand cannot afford to keep doing.
Yeah, well, the good news for them, though, is that X-Ray has already made it to the revive point in Bayfront, so they can potentially bring things back, but King of Gamers has spotted them as well, so it's starting to put shots and actually knock down X-Roy when he went for that revive point. In the meantime, I think FARANG as well, already getting under fire from MDH, who are moving out of Refinery now to try to find some fights on the outside. DEWA United, in the meantime, moving to the circle now as he just kind of lands on top of Bayfront as well as Refinery, so that puts MDH in a really favorable position. King of Gamers, though, completely wiped out the Expand, it looks like, from that Bayfront area. So it looks like Expand is down to Shah now to try to recover. So that's 2 resets in a row. Kind of a familiar feeling if you are Team Expand here. So a bit unfortunate for them as they are definitely on the back foot from this point on.
Yeah, we've seen this story before, and last time it happened, it did not end well for Expand. Semnai having to tank a bit of that blue zone. But I mean, I'm very worried for Shah because there's nowhere from the goal, no revival points close enough for him to take over. This is going to be a very, very gruesome way. KOG engaging with Axis, and Shah is just listening to all of this commotion. Heavy also from behind as well. Axis, they don't really have a full team with them, and if they get pinned up by Heavy right now, it's going to be lights out for them. And Heavy knows that Axis is in the building.
Yep, they were just moving very rapidly through as Axis is already holed up inside the building. Flamesamon's going to try to get to the car and try to make an exfil here while Mill now grapples his way to close the distance between himself and Axis. Budai already sending some troubles their way into the building here, putting them even more under pressure while the rest of Axis continue to try to hold their ground. One of the members have already moved out of here as Insurance, but that puts them in a very awkward position here to try to defend in the 2v4, and I don't think they will do well here, unfortunately. Even with 66 Raph getting a one knockdown there, it's not enough to stem the tide of Heavy moving in, and they take those kill points anyway.
And Buffalo just highest accuracy for first shot knockdowns. This guy is unreal. Thankfully, Flame was able to grab a vehicle and get the heck out of there. Should have not much people kind of at the outskirts. There's a direct revival point in front of him, but only if you can get there. Semnai is going to put that to a stop. No more revival for Axis. Flame is gone. Axis is gone.
Just unfortunate, and you know, taking the Formula 1 car out, it's just such a distinctive sound that, you know, you're gonna get spotted very easily just from people putting the ear to the ground. So Sem9 literally having another kill point handed to them on a silver platter, while in the meantime FARANG has just found Heavy here and looks like they want to try to engage them in battle from the open field, which is a bit unfavorable for FARANG, but conversely Heavy doesn't really have a lot of cover on their side of the map either. Oh, Jia is gonna get spotted here. This is just going bad to worse now for Expand. Newbie comes around the corner. Oh, who is that? Peekaboo. I see you. Expand getting eliminated in 9th place thanks to a Max 7 shot from Raja.
It just had to happen. There's nothing that he could do in that situation. One of those rounds that you don't really want to beat yourself up about. Definitely felt like they could have done a bit more in those early rounds, but we've seen Expand do this every now and then, and again, it has not gone well for them whenever they pull off this very wide split. Nonetheless, let it be the past. They still have 3 more days after this. Expand happy with the 2 booyahs that they got, but that means that Heavy now has a really good chance of just overtaking Expand once more.
Now this next circle lands on top of Bayfront, which is very interesting because that actually puts King of Gamers now having the favorable position. DEWA United has just gotten into Bayfront as well. There is a single buy point to take control over in the middle there, so that could be the potential for them to get some revives. King of Gamers in the meantime trying to gatekeep Heavy from being moved in. FARANG looks like they want to jump straight onto Sem9 here using the jump pad in order to get themselves on top of Sem9's position. This could actually work out well for them, especially given that they already taken control over the rooftop. Good grenade there for Jembal. Can another shot there actually take down Raja? He's taking a lot of damage. He put out a time turner there. I think that negated most of the grenade damage right there and then. But Sem9 is still holed up in the 2nd floor while FARANG has control over the rooftop. And we also see MDH trying to get themselves into the mix as well, putting some shots from a distance here. But right now it's going to be a slogfest inside the house itself as Raja gets taken down. Newbie and Fikri on the outside. Newbie still inside the house. Too bad now joining the fray as they scramble to try to fight it out. Man to man, hand to hand inside the house. Fikri with the kills coming through. Spain able to get a trade, and Sem9 is the one that gets taken out instead.
So well done by FARANG, basically sending grenades down the chimney for the initial knock, and Sem9 completely caught off guard, and FARANG decided, you know what, we have Sem9 trapped in the building, let us just surround him, and they pull it off. Had to sustain a casualty though, not the ideal scenario, but they did get the full wipeout. KOG getting kind of suppressed by the members of Heavy from long range, but it's actually DEWA United that gets the first kill onto Kevin. Heavy decides to take it slow. DEWA United still relentless. Osaka the next one to get gunned down, as FARANG was able to bring Jesbu back. DEWA United now applying a lot of pressure onto KOG.
Yeah, they want to be the kings of Bayfront right now, and King of Gamers, you know, they're more focused on FARANG in that instance, and now they're gonna have to turn around and start getting trades against DEWA United there, unless they'll lose their position when it comes to Bayfront. But this is getting very crowded now. MDH moving in from the from the southern side. We also have FARANG as well, still stuck at the edge of the blue zone here, and Heavy is actually moving to try to take their position. MDH actually has a good high ground position to keep an eye on DEWA United from that position, so that's going to allow them to take pot shots from them, while now Heavy fully engages FARANG. They want to try to take them out before they're able to get into this next safe zone.
This is going to be incredibly hard for FARANG. They will need to start dumping all those glue walls to create a safe path. But time is ticking for them, because look at Heavy. They are repositioning themselves to cut off FARANG. And you hear the sirens as well. The blue zone is going to close in. Jembao, the first one to make a break for it. He's going to be the trailblazer for the team. Run for your lives, FARANG. Two of them make it past. Spados over with the grappling gun, able to close on distance, but they still have not made it out the firing range set up by Heavy. This makeshift shooting range that they have constructed for themselves. Meanwhile, Binsu, grenade launcher, good one onto Bayo, as both the enemy's Titans are going at each other. Strode by and just flies on top of the roof. Yanbei needing to stay alive, getting kind of shot down pretty low, 53 health. Vantan healing back up with an inhaler as VGM continues to push in onto Team Flash, looking to wipe them out.
The thing is, with one member still around the outside, he needs to rejoin his fight quickly here so they can stabilize this against Team Flash, who right now are looking to try to get a knockdown, but themselves are a little bit under pressure. They've already burned a lot of glue walls up on that rooftop there in order to try to take this position, but with Bloody still around the outside, he needs to be able to make that grenade launcher sing in order to take down VGM at this point. And Bayo is already trying to flank around the side here. Flash having a much more spread out positioning here. They're just trying to overrun Bingsu, getting a good shot against Shin right now. So they're already taking a lot more damage than we expected at this point, and Bloody is going to get caught up. But Bingsu just around the outside, and with that last shot there with the grenade launcher, that sends Team Flash out in 7th place.
Yeah, DEWA United might be overran by FARANG as well, because I saw Bamsy just blew himself up with a grenade launcher. Thankfully, they were able to bring him back up. FARANG, they made it past Heavy, but can they make it past DEWA United? Seems like they're all caught out. They had to use so much glue walls, and the circle is not going to wait. They just touched down, and the circle is going to close in again. FARANG, you got to keep on running. Run for the light, as DEWA United and MDH will be the two teams gatekeeping FARANG. And this is going to be a tall task. You see them splitting up already. FARANG sending one member onto the rooftop. Maybe that is the lifeline that they need for themselves. MDH out in the open. Nero leading the charge, spearheading his team's effort to maybe get a couple of knockdowns, as FARANG somehow survives the gauntlet for a bit longer. DEWA United will have to contend with Heavy. This is an absolute bloodbath.
Yeah, the thing is that the situation is just changing by the second right now. VGM just trying to take themselves on the rooftop, but MDH is doing the good work there by trying to take a couple down, but then FARANG is becoming the interrupter right now, with Jezabu getting kills onto DMP, as well as No Cry getting taken down by Bantan. This is looking really bad here for VGM and MDH as well. FARANG is still having full stack here, still able to hold their own in this fight as they take control over the building completely. VGM still stuck on the outside. KOG actually putting some damage onto Heavy there, keeping them tied up on the opposite end of the circle. Now FARANG still has position here. Unfortunately, just lost Jezabu. Now to fight around the outside here. Magic Cat takes take down 2 here from VGM. This could be good here for FARANG. You can finish them off. It's now Vantan's the last man standing. Not for long though, as Jembao takes him down with a Charge Master.
They're gonna pick Jembao back up. FARANG might actually do this. 5 more teams left. FARANG, 3 men alive. They gotta contend with MDH first. MDH first, and then the rest of the lobby. Heavy with only 1 man alive, and that guy is Buffalo, so this is no pushover. It's not an easy task. DEWA with the full squad still pretty much healthy. They don't have much glue walls left to work with though, so that's something that maybe FARANG can exploit. But right now, FARANG, they need to catch a breather, and they have done so. But the circle is closing in. Everyone's going to be forced into center. FARANG is going to make the first move. Too bad, doing it good, but runs into Bam's grenade launcher. FARANG, they won't have time to bring Genbao back up. It's down to 2 members. DEWA still strong. Buffalo found out. Heavy out of this round. DEWA is doing it. Too bad gets the first one to Osaka. KOG somehow around, still in the vicinity, but DEWA might have just done it. They have just too many members for all of these teams to go through, and DEWA United Esports scores the last booyah of the day.
Wow, finally Indonesia shows up to the fight, and boy, what a fight it was. Even though one of their members had to play remotely, he can still feel the elation in their lineup right now, having pulled off what seemed like the most chaotic fight we've seen yet for today. I mean, who knew this final circle fights are just going to be so hectic for just day number 3 itself. I mean, it just goes to show how much more faith these guys have really to try to take on these fights. But man, the chaos in there was just almost unbearable. I think especially for especially with MDH, because they were one of the few teams who were there on the scene quite early on. We're actually doing some good movements as well, you know, just peeling out of fights that they didn't need to be involved in, trying to find another angle in order to try to gatekeep other teams. But in the end of the day, it still came down to brute force. Who was the one who had the faster reactions, who was able to get the shots on point that really made the difference in the end.
I mean, one of the best rounds for FARANG, right? I think they had one of the toughest journey into the circle as well. Constantly on the run, but they were able to not only squeeze into the final phase, but get double-digit eliminations as well. This could have been an all-Malaysian affair, but DEWA United just had to put their, stamp their names on that booyah chart. Nonetheless, I think it's a fantastic round for DEWA United because they need to kind of make some headway on that second page. Can say the same for FARANG, who has demonstrated just the sheer resilience. The macro decisions that they made in the final sequence was perfect.
Yeah, perfect indeed. And grenade launchers were certainly you think those are mostly going to be used for clearing out rooms or taking out taking people out from a distance, but even in close quarter fights, the amount of damage the single shot from that grenade launcher makes a lot of difference here, especially when these fights are getting too close and too crowded. And just really playing around the wall here was DEWA United, as they took out not only KOG but eventually went on to find the last member of FARANG in order to seal that victory here. So very well done for the Indonesian squad. Perhaps it's going to be enough to keep them in the running here to get into that final slot for Jakarta. But nevertheless, it's still FARANG that takes the top spot here overall when it comes to this round's standings here, because they got 13 kills to DEWA United's 6, and that's also a consequence of DEWA being mostly quiet actually during the opening of that fight, just allowing teams like FARANG, King of Gamers, and V Gaming Esports to take the brunt of the attack, and only swooping in at the last moment, kind of just being a sneaky third party again, if I might just add.
Yeah. And DEWA even had a sequence where they were fighting FARANG, and Bams accidentally took himself out with the grenade launcher, but they were able to recover him. I mean, FARANG had to literally go through a gauntlet. It felt like a lower bracket run for FARANG in that final sequence. They're just going through heavy, MDH, KOG, and then DEWA United. But nonetheless, it's a good run for a lot of these teams, especially KOG, right? Just getting a bit more points over MDH, basically securing them in 6th place by the end of today. For the rest of the Vietnamese team, I think their standings would probably remain unchanged, expand, most likely overtaken by Heavy, but nothing too consequential.
Nothing too consequential. I mean, Anxiety is going to find themselves, unfortunately, back into the bottom of the board here, getting 0 points in this round itself, and with FARANG already having a resurgence here on this round, so this is just going to further add to their woes. But yeah, for the Vietnamese teams, I mean, they're still very incredibly consistent in phase number 2 of just being very top-heavy in terms of points. You know, they just those 3 squads, Heavy, Team Flash, and VM Esports, constantly going out there finding fights. FARANG, conversely, have been, you know, despite the splash they did early on today, kind of fell a little bit quiet. Looked like it was a bit of a downward spiral for them, especially during the middle of the day here. But finally, they managed to put in a performance worthy of their name here, tied them in points together with DEWA United Esports at 200.5. Expand, unfortunately, had lost their 2nd spot again to Heavy there, so that was another abysmal kind of like situation for them. But it nevertheless is only about, what, 11 points away, so nothing insurmountable, given that we still have 3 more days to go in this phase number 2.
Yep. Again, nothing much has changed in the 1 to 7th place, it's kind of the same tug of war. And unfortunately for teams from an 8th place axis in this case, the gap between them and the 7th place team has widened again, right? I mean, the closest we got was below, I believe, 20 plus points, but now it's almost 40. It's 33 if math serves me right. So kind of another climb that they need to overcome in the second half of phase number 2. And things are looking pretty dire because some of these teams might not make it just based on the points that they have. Anxiety being a very good example.
Indeed. I mean, Anxiety has really you've been the only one kind of carrying that PH flag for the region, and unfortunately has just found that the other regions here, Vietnam, Thailand, Malaysia, is just a lot more stronger than they anticipated. So a bit unfortunate, to see them at the bottom of the board, because these guys are also no slouches within their own country itself. So maybe it's just a sign of the times here that just because you're the best in your region doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be able to dominate. But I digress, though. We still have plenty of games to go here in this phase number 2. Day number 4 will be happening next weekend. We're going to be back to the rotation of Purgatory, Alpine, followed by Bermuda, Kalahari, and then back to Purgatory and Alpine again. So we'll see how that turns out. Make sure you guys tune in next Tuesday for the continuation of phase number 2 and to see the conclusion, who are going to be the final 6 teams to join the top 6 going to Jakarta there to make it the top 12 of this region here. You're only going to have to find out next week.
Yeah, contrary to, the gap between phase 1 and phase 2, where there's only 1 day to take a break, these teams now have 5 days to prepare for the last lap of phase number 2. All of this made possible by our friends and partners over Snapdragon Elite Gaming, when winning matters. And it's a very important aspect, because we are nearing the end of phase 2 and finding out the final 6 teams joining our already in Jakarta's 6 team, and the 4 from Thailand, 2 from Indonesia. And we also got to thank the newest addition to this family, Samsung Galaxy, powering the entirety of Snapdragon Pro Series and giving us the extra boost that we need to continue this journey, and giving the support to all the players out there. On top of that, we also got to thank Monster Energy for just constantly juicing everyone up and unleashing the beast within them. So check them out at www.monsterenergy.com/gaming. And last but not least, if you enjoy great deals and game top-ups, just check out www.kachishop.com. They have a lot of great deals. You do not need to look anywhere else. You have my word, so do it.
Yeah, so that brings us unfortunately to a close for day number 3 now, and the order is just constantly kind of moving around. So that means that it's still up in the air right now as far as like who's going to be able to get to that final slot to Jakarta. And that note, make sure guys join in the fight here. The Free Fire Grand Finals is happening at Mall Taman Anggrek, so you definitely want to be able to book your tickets and close your dates for the 4th and 5th of February. For the 4th and 5th of February 2023, because that's where the Grand Finals of Free Fire is going to be. That's where all the best teams in the region for Free Fire will congregate, and that's where you get to meet all your favorite players right there and then.
Yeah. Just after Chinese New Year, this is perfect. I'm gonna celebrate Chinese New Year, and I'm gonna go to Jakarta to celebrate this festive season of Free Fire. But that is the end for this week of a Free Fire Challenge Group Stage Phase 2. Make sure to come back next Tuesday to Thursday, same time for all 3 days, because at the end of next Thursday, we will find out the remaining 6 teams who will go to Jakarta. On that note, my name is Husky. This is Victor with me. We're gonna sign out. Have a good night. We'll see you guys next Tuesday.
The Snapdragon Pro Series powered by Samsung Galaxy is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Galaxy Z Fold 4, Monster Energy, and Kachi Shop.
Won't stop going till a player on top know it. Rooftop, penthouse suite. If you really want it, gotta own it. Fire through it, we was at the lowest. Blood, sweat, tears, the components. Riding all year, now's the moment. We are not friends, we are opponents. Yeah, I'm coming for mine. Yeah, I'm making a play, the game on the line. Yeah, I've been on the grind. Yeah, I jump in the spot, I made it my time. Yeah, look in the sky. Yeah, the stars align, no shade to shine. Can't stop it already. Emotional work and devotion. We put in this time. Look.
You won't stop my stride. I'll just break your line. I don't tolerate wasted time. Take us down, keep fighting. They don't want it with me. You got a problem with me? Love, you don't want it with me. Man, you won't ever stop me. Who y'all really got a problem with? Who y'all really trying to solve them with? Who don't really like the sound of this? Who come with me getting down to this? You better step back, get your neck cracked, get laid down where you best step. Better check that with a fresh map. Get lost now with no extract. Like, look, that's all me. Got my number, don't call me. We eating up, that's all beef. You freezing up, that's y'all's team. Cause we don't really lose no more. All about heating up, leaving that cold. You can see me up, killing that show. I ain't about giving up, no.